Welcome to the Talking the Line podcast, presented to you by Talking the Line Sports Media, giving you our best insights and analysis so you can rake in some cold hard cash on your next sports bet. Now sit on back, open up your mind, and let's cash some tickets. We can't thank you enough for joining us. We hope you enjoy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, degenerates, gamblers, fans of the Raiders or the Chargers, fans of the NFL Shield, fantasy football players, NFL bettors, anybody I might have left out. Far and wide, welcome in to episode number 106 of the Talking the Line podcast, and as always, thank you so much for taking a few moments out of your day to come and kick it with the crew on this beautiful August 19th, 2021. If you weren't awake, I hope you are now, because we have a loaded NFL special edition coming at you. I know you saw the title. We got the LA Chargers and the LV Raiders coming at you today, but before we get into all of that, please take a few moments to smash that subscribe button on whatever platform you are currently ingesting the TTL Pod on. If you are watching on YouTube, you might as well hit that notification bell as well, whatever side of the screen it's on there. That way you never miss the start of a live show or any additional TTL content dropping. If you are listening to the audio recorded version, however, on your favorite podcast directory, make sure you hit it there in addition if you haven't already, because we always release the audio after every live show is complete. Next item up on the docket, if you could be so kind, you can find it in your heart maybe. Got an extra couple seconds. Hit that like button, leave us a comment, leave us a rating, jump in the live chat if you're watching live. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it when you do, and it only helps us make TTL Sports Media bigger and better for each and every one of you. Last, but certainly not least, before we get into everything today, head on over to this episode's description where you will locate the Talking the Line link tree. Within that link tree, you will find the talkingtheline.com website, all of our additional social platforms and content, so you can consume all of that however and whenever you please. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful gambling people, everybody far and wide, joining us on episode 106. I am your humble host, Colt 45 Soroka, and I will be rowing the boat that is the Talking the Line podcast steadily down the stream today as we get deep into the 2021 season for the Raiders and Chargers. But I can't row it alone. I need a little help. Sometimes I go up the stream and my throat gets a little parched. I need some high quality H2O. So in those cases, and in many other cases, when he has some serious knowledge to lay down on not only me and you, I need my partner. So let me bring in the co-host of the Talking the Line podcast, a man who is absolutely elated at where his White Sox currently sit as we round out the 2021 MLB regular season, and cannot wait to see his Packers play once again in preseason week 2. He is absolutely loving what he saw from Jordan Love, but we need him to stay healthy if we don't want to see A-Rod on the field early. Nonetheless, I don't think that'll happen, but let's bring him in. The man, the myth, the degenerate gambling legend himself, Mr. Riley RMags Magnuson. Partner, how you doing over there today, pal?
My man, I'm doing pretty damn solid. We got 2 teams on the dock today, so it's hard to be excited, or hard not to be excited, excuse me. And, at least one of these teams is a team that I am beyond excited to watch and talk about. And the other one is I'm excited to talk about going to the tail's going to be out on whether I'm excited to watch them on a week-to-week basis. But hey, I'm excited to talk about them and talk about why they might be a big old question mark. But we got two teams that I'm juiced to get rocking and rolling on here.
I am too, and I could probably take the words out of your mouth. I would happen to guess that the Raiders are the second description you gave out there, and the Chargers would be the first description. If I was a betting man.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? I am a betting man, so I think I'm about 100% on. Put minus 5,000 odds on that, boy. But nonetheless, plenty coming to you on today's show. It's going to look a little bit different than it has from some of the NFL special editions. We'll still have the typical 4 segments. We'll go through the full team breakdown, schedule breakdown, then we'll get into the betting preview, and then start stash or pass. Now, we will do both teams in each individual segment. So we're going to go through it a little bit quicker. For the team breakdown, we'll cut out some of the stuff there. I'll go a little bit more hyper speed through that, and then we'll give you our opinions and just keep it rocking and rolling. So we'll cut out a few things here or there that don't necessarily have as much value, and then we'll just have both the Raiders and Chargers together in each individual segment. So outside of that, we'll probably talk about it too, but key injury news coming from the Raiders, kind of breaking news yesterday. Their second string running back did have a little bit of issues yesterday. I am blanking on off the top of my head right now.
Kenyon
Drake, yeah. I wanted to say Kalen Ballage, but I knew that wasn't right. Kenyon Drake, he had some issues, had to be taken off the field yesterday. Not exactly sure what the injury is, but that does not look good for the Raiders running back depth chart whatsoever. So we got plenty to talk about there, partner. Any other breaking news, stuff I missed, anything I did not see before we get this show on the road?
I got nothing. Let's get rocking and rolling.
All right, my friends, let's get to it. First things first, as always, can't leave this out. Hey, cheers to you. Cheers to you. Oh, goodness gracious.
There we go.
Cheers to you.
Got my finger in the way.
Oh, yeah, that French vanilla bean creme brulee is just tantalizing this morning, if you will.
It's a nice combo with my whatever the hell I got from my own home. Nice combo there.
A little witch's brew going on in the Yeti.
Nice.
All right. Well, without further ado, my friends, one more time, just so we're all clear, not that you don't know how to read the title, but today's first team of the day, the Las Vegas Raiders. We'll cover them first in each individual segment. Then we will get into the second team of the day in each individual segment, the LA Chargers. It's going to be absolutely loaded. You're going to have a little extra coffee with you because we're going to be bouncing back and forth. But we'll have some clear division to it. Just make sure you got the coffee ready to rock and roll. You might need an extra couple pieces of paper and an extra ink pen because it's about to get hot and heavy. So without further ado, first segment of the day, NFL Special Edition number 17, the first double team special edition of 2 that we will do in general. So let's get on into it. I cannot wait. First things first segment of the day. We're starting off with the full team breakdown for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, kicking things off, we are going to skip the main additions and losses here for the offensive side of the ball. However, we will still tell you about the lineups and kind of give you our outlook overall. Now, before we do that, still will give you some key 2020 stats and kind of some opinions as if those will remain the same or if they'll change going into 2021. The Raiders averaged 5.9 yards per play last year. They rushed the ball 44.11% of the time and passed the ball 55.89% of the time. Completion percentage, mainly for Derek Carr, 66.97% across the board. Converted on third down at a 45.96% clip, and in the red zone converted at a 54.24 clip. So not the worst in some of those departments. You would definitely love to see them tick up the third down production as well as the red zone production. I'll talk about that here just in a second. But before I do, let's give you the starting lineups, or what is projected to be the week 1 starting lineups, the top of the depth chart here. Alex Leatherwood, the rookie, looks like he is going to be getting the right side of this offensive line. We'll stick with the offensive line here. Then you have Good. That is Denzel Good. I knew it was Denzel or Daniil, but I wasn't thinking Daniil Hunter. So Denzel Good. James is going to be at the center position. That is Anthony James? Andre James. And then you have Richie Incognito, obviously a name everybody knows, at left guard. And then Miller at left tackle. That is
Mr. Colton Miller.
That's
right. Known that one.
K Miller. It's Kolton.
Got a K there.
Colton. But either way, Colton Miller. Always love to see a Colton fighting the good fight. Tight end, opposite side, sometimes blocks. This guy most of the times pass or catching passes, and he's electric when he does it. We know Darren Waller, the baller, he's coming back. I think he has a very solid opportunity to be the number 1, number 2 overall tight end in fantasy. But we'll talk about that in start, stash, or pass. Then you got the other guys that can catch the ball. Honestly, in my mind, going to be one of the rather worst units in the league. They got Henry Ruggs, no shade on him, but just haven't seen the production that we thought we would in his rookie year. Hunter Renfrow, definitely need to see some improvements from him in the slot as well. And then Edwards, the rookie as well from last year, Brandon Edwards, he definitely needs to see some improvement. They brought in the old dog. That is Brandon Edwards.
Brian Edwards.
Brian Edwards, I apologize. They brought in the old dog who I was a huge fan of on Buffalo last year, kept him on my fantasy team, John Brown. Had to battle some injuries last year, so hopefully he can stay healthy. I think that will definitely help Derek Carr out a little bit here. And then they got Zay Jones looking to be the 5th wide receiver on that depth chart. Then you have Josh Jacobs, followed up by Kenyon Drake. But told you Kenyon Drake had a little bit of injury issues yesterday, so it's kind of up in the air. There's not a huge amount of depth in that room right now. They still have Jalen Richard, but Jalen Richard is obviously nothing major to write home about. He's been solid behind Jacobs, but then again, that might cause some issues for what Gruden had planned offensively here, running back wise. And then already said him, but Derek Carr coming back again. And then Marcus Mariota looked like he was going to be out of town, but the Silver and Black decided to re-sign him, bring him on back as their QB2. So overall, in my opinion, before I give you my outlook, kick it over to Mags, give you some key thoughts of his. Let me give you the key rankings as well, courtesy of the guys over at SFA, Sharp Football Analysis. Quarterback room comes in ranked as the 15th unit in the league. So I'm actually not too disappointed in that. I think I was actually anticipating it to be a little bit worse, but Derek Carr, as we'll talk about, has actually been a little bit better than what you would anticipate. And he set career highs last year in a lot of different categories. Offensive line leaves a little bit to be desired because they let some big names walk. 22nd ranked unit in the league right now. And then the running back room, obviously worthy of this and could improve upon it, but how injured is Kenyon Drake? 12th unit in the league right now, and then the receivers coming in ranked as the 23rd unit. I would even put him back further than that. I think that they can improve upon that number, but I think that is a very fair ranking from what we saw from pretty much the same exact core last year. Now, as for my overall opinions, before I kick it to you, partner, this offensive line is going to loom really large, in my opinion, as well. Not only in protecting Derek Carr and allowing him to at least put on target passes to these mediocre receivers, if you will. And I hate to say that about some of those names. That's going to be one thing, and then it's going to be running the ball. Josh Jacobs saw a little bit of a downtick last year. I think that they're going to have to really improve offensively and on the offensive line for him to see an uptick this year. I love Jacobs. He's typically been one of my RB1s, and I think we might have to temper expectations again this year. But we'll talk about that in start, stash, or pass. Obviously, across the board, you know how I feel about the offensive line, the quarterback, the running back, the wide receivers. The one shining light for me is I absolutely love the tight end, and I don't know how you cannot love Darren Waller. I think he has a monster season, and I'll tell you even more about that once we get to start, stash, or pass for the Raiders. But overall, partner, what are you feeling here for 2021 for this old Pirates team?
Very similar to what you said. I might even be a little bit meaner aside from Darren Waller. I love Darren Waller. Who can't? He's going to be the same guy that we know and love. But as you mentioned, this receiving core leaves a little bit to be desired here. I love at least the talent that Henry Ruggs brings. I think over the course of his career, he could be a very good receiver. I just don't love him as the number 1 wide receiver quite yet, and that's kind of where I see some issues once again here. I think his numbers improve after last year. He, like you said, I believe he was right around 500 yard receiving, which obviously is not what you want to see. But that offensive line, man, it was already not the best offensive line last year, and they lost some of their key pieces. And Derek Carr, as we've seen, he struggles when under pressure, and I really think he's going to be running for his life, if not more than he ever has in his career. So I agree with you on the fifth, or I agree with SFA on the 15th ranked ranking there, but I think he's going to be looking worse than that, and it could be the end for him this year in Vegas, and he might be on the move because I think he has, if with the right situation, specifically a very good offensive line, I think he could look like a top 10 quarterback, but I think he's going to look like a bottom third quarterback this year. And, without those receivers to rely on, I think it's going to be looking really tough. And I'll echo what you said about Josh Jacobs. I really like him too, but I think this offensive line's not going to do him any favors. I think defenses are going to be stacking the box like they did last year, and it's going to be a struggle for him once again. And especially if Kenny Drake misses extended time, it's going to be a struggle for this offense, in my opinion. So I don't have the highest hopes here.
I don't have the highest hopes either, so there you hear it from both of us. Offensively, we think the Raiders are going to sputter here in 2021, and it might be the end for Derek Carr and maybe potentially John Gruden. But we'll talk about the coaching staff here in just a second. Let's flip the script on over to the other side of the ball defensively for the Raiders. Quickly, for their 2020 stats, they allowed opponents exactly 6 yards per play on average last year, allowed opponents to complete passes 63.79%. Third downs, opponents converted at 48.78%. And then in the red zone, I like to see this go down a little bit. The opponents converted at a 61.76% clip. So overall, I mean, not the worst numbers in the world, but not the best numbers in the world, obviously. Sticking with the defensive line here to start things off, kind of keep it on the same wavelength. They went out and got Yannick Ngakoue on the outside, so he'll be one of their edge rushers. They're going to need to see some more out of Cleveland Farrell. They obviously went and drafted him a few years back, so now he's going to really need to produce now. Thomas coming in new on the interior, and then also Hankins coming in. Well, actually, Thomas is just the only new guy, and then Hankins coming back in here again for the Raiders. Overall, I'm not too terribly disappointed with the defensive line. I think that the combination of Farrell and Ngakoue can definitely create some pressure, wreak some havoc on some opponent offenses. They do play a rather light schedule. We'll talk about that too here shortly as far as offensive opponents. So they could have some success. Behind them, they have Chris Littleton and Nick Kwiatkowski rounding out the front seven. Those guys, in my opinion, I loved Kwiatkowski on the Bears. He was one of my top guys. I hated to see him go. Didn't see the worst production last year. Could see some improvements this year. I think we see it from both linebackers, and they do just fine. The safeties leave a little bit to be desired in my department. Hayward, Arnett, Mullen, and then in the deep backfield, you got Abram, and then Morig is actually coming in. That's a rookie they picked up out of the that was the second round.
Yep.
Yeah, they got. So overall, in my opinion, I think that this defense doesn't struggle from a pressure perspective. I think they struggle from more of a secondary perspective. They might not generate a huge amount of pressure. I don't think that you should be banking on them to just have an absolutely game-wrecking defensive season. I think it's going to be pretty similar to those 2020 stats that I showed you, and it might be even a little bit worse just because of how low I am on this secondary. That's where my thoughts are at. What are you feeling here, partner, for the Raiders?
I can't add too much here. I think it's a very, very average defense. I like some of the additions that they made. Ngakoue, Casey Hayward used to be a former Packer, played in the same division here with the Chargers. He's tailed off a little bit, but I still really like that addition for him. Overall, though, Cleveland Farrell, as you mentioned, he needs to improve. If he can improve, Solomon Thomas coming back in off free agency, if those guys can make an impact, then we might have a different story here. But overall, safeties a little, like you said, just not what you want to see. Morig as a rookie in the secondary, I think he could get picked on this year. So, I think there'll be flashes where they might win you a couple games, but overall, I think there's going to be a few more that they might cost them, honestly. So I'm not, I don't hate it, but I don't love it by any means.
I don't love it either, and the combination of the offense and defense here in Las Vegas this year is just not giving us a whole lot of confidence across the board. But the coaching staff really isn't giving us much confidence either. John Gruden, I mentioned him just a little while ago, coming in now for his fourth full year. Just how lucky he is to be coming in for that fourth year is unbelievable. Not many Raiders coaches make it through the third year. This probably will be his last season if he doesn't have any type of wins, doesn't at least have a winning season at the bare minimum. I would say his seat is next to close to the hottest to Zach Taylor right now. Then you have offensive coordinator Greg Olson. Not that Greg Olson. This is still the same one coming in for his fourth year as well as OC of the Raiders. And then new defensive coordinator Gus Bradley coming in. So maybe brought him in, can rejuvenate this defense, get some different looks going. Maybe they improve more than we have anticipated. But overall, not the worst coaching staff in the league by any means, but a coaching staff that has not had much success in its tenure.
I can't disagree with you that John Gruden's seat is very, very hot. I think he might have some scapegoats built in here, unless it's really, really bad. You can put some blame if Derek Carr struggles, and honestly, largely the general manager Mike Mayock honestly has a little bit hotter of a seat to me because, John Gruden hasn't excelled here, but, this roster it looks like it's getting worse and worse throughout John Gruden's tenure here. So the talent acquisition is just really what I kind of chalk this up to as far as John Gruden's seat being hot. So I can't disagree with you, but I think he might have some scapegoats, and he might, unless it's 4 wins or less, 5 wins or less, I think he sticks around for one more year, and they might move some other pieces around.
All right, so we're a little bit different on that.
A little bit, but maybe, I can't deny his seat is certainly hot.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe he's got some scapegoats. Maybe he sticks around. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows? But that is the entire team breakdown and coaching staff analysis for the Las Vegas Raiders. We'll have still plenty more to talk about in the further sections and segments of the day. So don't dip out too quite yet if we didn't cover enough for you there. Into now the team breakdown for the Los Angeles Chargers. See, we made it nice and easy for you. We changed colors, so now you know who we're talking about. Once again, starting things on the offensive side of the ball and some key 2020 stats. Now, for the Chargers, they averaged 5.4 yards per play last year offensively, rushed the ball 41.35% of the time, and passed the ball 58.65% of the time. Completion percentage obviously was Tyrod Taylor for a little while, and then got his old lung punctured there and had to bring in Justin Herbert in week 2 on an emergency, not taking any first team snaps whatsoever. Across the board, 65.87%. So pretty solid there. Third down conversion, 44.20%. I'll talk about that here just a second. They put Herbert in a lot of tough spots last year, having to convert a lot of long third down. So I think that's why that is very low. And I think the offense this year tries to avoid those third downs at all cost. And in the red zone, they scored at a 57.14% clip. So not terrible. Would definitely love to see that improve as well. But I do think, much like third down conversion, I think red zone conversion definitely improves here going into 2021. Now, for the offensive side of the ball, it's going to look pretty doggone similar to what you saw or what we all saw in 2020. As far as the line goes, you got Brian Balaga on the right side. Left side is Richie Slater. I do believe that is Rashawn Slater. I apologize. And then
first round
if
pick.
you could have that bad boy up, maybe have the names right there so I don't keep insulting these kind fellers. M. Feller, the left guard.
Yeah, either Feeler or Filer. I'm not
Matt
sure how.
Filer. Matt Filer. Either way. And then Corey Linsley, new center coming in. Obviously, I know that name. He's a big name. He's always has been a big name in the NFL. So that's a big add here for the Chargers. And then Abushi. Ode Abushi. He's coming in right guard. Honestly, in my opinion, this is a stacked offensive line. Right now, they're actually the 21st ranked unit as far as cap hit right now. So not too crazy for what some of those names you would anticipate them having to be paid to be sticking around. Now, as far as the guy opposite of them who blocks sometimes, mostly catches passes though, Jared Cook. I'm actually pretty high on Jared Cook. I liked him in New Orleans. I don't have anything bad to say about him. I'll definitely have some stuff to talk about with him as far as fantasy value goes because I really like Jared Cook on this offense. And if you just so kindly remember, over the course of probably the last decade, for crying out loud, over Antonio Gates, Hunter Henry, and whoever else you want to pump in there, Los Angeles or San Diego tight ends have been absolutely electric.
Sure.
They've been great from all perspectives. So I think Jared Cook slots in real well here. Obviously, the big dog coming back, Keenan Allen. He's got to stay healthy. Please, Keenan, play all 17 games this year. We need you. We need you. We need you. Mike Williams already dealing with hamstring injuries, but he should be good to go by the time the season starts, per Brandon Staley. And then Johnson on the far outside.
Tyrone
Johnson. Also, because I liked this guy last year, fourth on the depth chart right now, Jalen Guyton showed some serious flashes from time to time when they needed him, when Keenan Allen went out, and then even when Mike Williams went out too. So huge potential upside there for Guyton. And then Jordan Palmer, I do believe that is.
Joshua Palmer.
Don't know much about him. I don't know much about him. He is a rookie coming in out of Tennessee, so probably had a little bit of production there in Tennessee. And I do believe I read a little bit something on him a while back ago that he actually did rip the top off the defense in Tennessee. So definitely a good addition there. Maybe that guy can work in and take some of the workload off of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, keep them guys healthy deep into the season. One of my favorite running backs in the league, but we got to see him produce this year. Austin Eckler, RB1, once again. I think he has an absolutely monstrous season with how they retooled this offensive line. And then behind him, you have Josh Jackson, is that?
Justin Jackson.
Justin Jackson, not terrible. A definitely handcuffable opportunity. We'll talk about that and start stash or pass. He definitely will have some upside here this year with definitely, I think, the upside the offensive line has. Then last but certainly not least, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league right now came out of nowhere, Justin Herbert, man. How can you not love the kid, love the story? I think he has another ridiculous season. I think we'll see a little bit of regression for sure. What he did in some key areas, key stats-wise, was just absolutely outlandish. So we're going to see a little regression, but I think we still see an absolutely electric season from Herbert. So that's my thoughts on the offense. Partner, what are you thinking for the Chargers in 2021? I know you're high as hell on them.
I am very high on this team, especially this offense, man. I actually think we could see some positive regression from Justin Herbert because of the way that they retooled this offensive line. Now, Justin Herbert was pretty solid with some pressure in his face last year, a little bit more than you would expect from a rookie quarterback. So now giving him a fresh offensive line that is bona fide, very good. Corey Linsley, I am going to miss the hell out of him in Green Bay. Rashawn Slater should be very, very solid, despite being a rookie. That was their first-round pick, so he's going to make a nice impact. And as you mentioned, Mr. Jared Cook, he's not in that cream of the crop top 3, top 4 tight ends with those other guys, but he is very, very good. He helps every single team that he is on. I guess age might be a little bit of a concern, but he seems to stand the test of time, and he's going to help this team one way or another. The one concern that I do have is, and you kind of mentioned it, the wide receiver depth. If anything happens to Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but I am a little bit concerned because Keenan Allen is a bona fide dog. Mike Williams is on his way to being a really solid wide receiver, and these other guys are just a little unproven. You did mention Jalen Guyton, and I like him also. I'm just a little concerned if he's got to shoulder all of that load if anything happens to these top two guys. And I can't say enough about how much I like Austin Eckler. If he's fully healthy, he is an absolute monster in both the passing game and the running game. So I think we're going to see some really solid improvements from this offense, and they might actually be able to finish off some of these games that we have seen them lose over the last couple of years. So I've got all the best things in the world to say about this team, my man.
I do as well. And speaking of those improvements, I think we see those a lot too because Anthony Lynn is out of town. The curse of Anthony Lynn is gone. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. We'll talk about the coaching staff here in just a second. As for key rankings to close up the offensive side of the ball for the Chargers here, per the guys at SFA, 9th ranked quarterback unit in the league. Definitely can see improvement upon that, no doubt in my mind. 15th ranked offensive line. I think that is perfect. Just a little bit better than middle of the pack. They might even crack top 12, top 13. 13th running back unit in the league. Now, this is going to really hinge heavily on what Austin Eckler does this year. He had a good season, but he's going to have to improve in a couple of key areas to avoid any regression. However, I think 13th is perfect, and they can definitely crack the top 10 or top 8 in my mind. And then, much like you, a little bit of question marks around some of those receivers who don't really have that proven ability yet. 18th ranked unit in the league. Obviously, it's like, well, how can you give them that unit with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams? Well, it makes sense just because of all the question marks and all the depth charts. So that's the key rankings. That's everything there for the offensive side of the ball. Now flipping the script, quick defensive side of the ball, just so you know who's all going, or who's all coming back and in week 1 here for the Chargers. You have on the defensive line, Joey Bosa coming back on the left side, definitely one of the most, or right side. I don't really know how you look at that, right end, left end. Either way, he's a defensive end. Either way, game wrecker, you know the name, Joey Bosa. Not much you really need to say about him. Then they have Tillery coming back in, I should say. Very dominant interior player. Lance Joseph coming back in as well. He is Linval Joseph. He is getting up there in age just a little bit, so gonna definitely have to see some production from him. And then Nwosu, that is you.
No, I don't know. I don't. Uchenna Nwosu.
Uchenna Nwosu. All right.
So,
Overall, not obviously if we got to look that hard for some of the names, there might be a little bit of question marks around that. Obviously, Joey Bosa should have a big year. But overall, I don't know necessarily that they generate as much pressure as they're really anticipating here. But we'll see. Jury's still out on that. They have Tranquil and Murray rounding out the front seven as their linebacking unit. And then I'm honestly a little bit higher on this secondary than I was on the Raiders secondary. I think that they are going to have some success bringing in Asante Samuel Jr. Love that pickup for one of the cornerbacks here. Chris Harris, I do believe that is.
Yep.
He is also going to still be the slot corner, getting up there a little bit in age as well. And then Davis also coming in opposite side of those two guys to round out the front secondary. And then the deep backfield, Adderley and James, Derwin James,
Yep.
is that? Yeah, Derwin James, you obviously know the name. He has had some pretty successful years in the league. Obviously, we could see some improvement all across the board from this defense. I think we see it this year. I'm not incredibly high on them, but I think they're going to surprise a lot of people, and I think they might even surprise me too, just because I'm not too high on them. But I think they will surprise me. What are you thinking, partner, as far as the defense?
Yeah, for me, it really comes down to the health of these key players. Derwin James, 2018, I believe was his rookie year, played all 16 games, played only 5 games in 2019, and didn't play at all, if I'm correct, last year. So if he stays healthy, man, he is a huge X factor to lift this defense up. Same thing with Joey Bosa. I think he still played a lot of games last year, but wasn't fully healthy the entire season. Because if he's 100% healthy, man, he is one of the better defenders in the entire league. And then, really, Chris Harris, I still like him there. There's a few holes that they lost. They lost Melvin Ingram, so you don't like to see that. But overall, I think this defense is going to do just enough to keep this offense right in games, and there's going to be a few that they probably will win. Joey Bosa is going to have a few games if he's fully healthy where he absolutely just destroys the opposing offensive line. And, like I said, I think they're just going to do enough to stay in games. They're not going to be a Super Bowl level defense, in my opinion, but they could be enough to hold this team and excel that offense to be I don't know about Super Bowl level offense, but, I'm pretty high in this team. So I think they got enough here.
I think they got enough too, and we could definitely see a playoff run from them. Putting a cap on the defense, 26th ranked front 7 in the NFL right now per the guys at SFA, so not very high on them, even with some of the names in there, and the 19th ranked unit as far as the secondary goes in the NFL. So definitely think that they can improve upon those numbers, but much like me and you, they're not as high on the old Chargers defense, but I think that they can improve upon them most assuredly. Now, last but certainly not least, coaching staff. We've talked about a few teams that have entirely new coaching staffs, head coach, OC, DC, everything. The Chargers, once again, are one of those teams, but I think this is exactly what they needed.
Right.
They're bringing in Brandon Staley, coming on over from the Rams. Obviously, he's more of a defensive-minded coach, so that will obviously improve this defense.
Sure.
Then to help him out, Ronaldo Hill is going to be the defensive coordinator. I apologize. I said cornerback because he was the Denver defensive backs coach last year. He is coming in now for the Chargers. And then offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi has had success working with young quarterbacks and has also had some electrifying success with running backs, most notably with Alvin Kamara. So maybe we see Alvin Kamara type numbers from Austin Eckler in this Joe Lombardi offense. I really wanted to mention that because I think this coaching staff is exactly what this Chargers team needed.
Right.
They're lacking on defense. Ronaldo Hill has proven himself. We've seen what the Broncos safeties have done, and it's a shame that he had to get shipped out of town with the talent that they have now in Denver. But I think he's got plenty of talent here, and I think that he'll have some success. I also think that Joe Lombardi is going to have plenty of success with this team and improve that running game, another glaring hole that could potentially see regression, but I don't think it does now. And then Brandon Staley ties up any holes that there could potentially be and helps this defense even more. I don't think it's going to be any last 2-minute drill horse shit that we saw from the last few years.
No,
I don't think you're going to have to worry about your bets pushing out, losing money because of nonsense. I think the Chargers are going to be a very fun team to watch, and are going to be winning us lots of money this season.
I think so too. And Brandon Staley, I mean, he kind of reminds me of the defensive equivalent to like the offensive wave of young coaches that we've seen. He's got an innovative defensive style. He's like the Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan equivalent to the defensive side of the ball. So I think it's a perfect fit here. And as you mentioned, Joe Lombardi, in the same vein, I wouldn't be shocked if he's a head coach within 4 or 5 years, maybe even less.
Maybe even less for sure. So, our opinions now on the LA Chargers full team. Offense, defense, we're incredibly high on them. Definitely higher on the offense, but think that the defense can improve. And we think that this coaching staff is exactly the last little sprinkling of seasoning, if you will, on the recipe that is now the Chargers team. I think the Chargers have one hell of a season.
And we're able to pick off the Anthony Lynn seasoning out of all of these pieces that are still here.
Pick out the Anthony Lynn anchovies off your pizza. There you go.
Perfect.
There you go. Anthony Lynn anchovies. All right. Never know what you're going to get on the TTL pod. All right. So as we were kind of going through that, had something in my mind a little bit here. So let's get into the second segment of the day, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking. So, schedule breakdown. First things first, you obviously know that's the second segment, but it's going to be the Raiders. Now, instead of kicking it off how I typically do, going week by week, yada, 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 wasting time, in essence of time, what we'll do is we'll just give you our predictions.
Okay.
We'll talk about their division games, their main 8 non-division games, and then the 3 outside of that. We'll give you our predictions, and then we'll just do the exact same for the Chargers.
Okay.
We'll rip through that. But don't worry, we'll still have opportunity to go through the schedule because I'll rock it all out in the betting preview when I give you the weekly lines, and I'll tell you if they're home away. I'll knock it all out right there, and we might even change that on the regular show. That seems like a pretty damn good idea.
Not a bad idea.
So, with that being said, let's get back into the Raiders real quick. We got to get back on our silver and black, take off the gold and white and light blue for just a little bit, get back to the silver and black. Now, for the 2021 season, it's not looking all too damn hard, to tell you the truth.
It's not.
I think they have some potential here, but I also think they have potential to be complete boneheads and fuck everything up royally. Right. They could very, very, very easily split with the Broncos. Depending on what shows. Now, I don't know how much you can read into the Broncos preseason week 1.
Sure.
We're going to have to see a lot more. But if that's consistently the quarterback play and the defense play that we're going to see, then I don't really have too much concern in my mind about Drew Lock, to tell you the truth. But if he does struggle bus, and then this is definitely worth a split. So I'd say 1-1 there. I don't think they're going to get... Man, oh man, actually they had some close games with the Chiefs last year, so it's kind of a toss-up in my mind. They might be able to split that off. They do play them pretty similarly within a 5-week stretch. I don't...
Did you give them a split yesterday as we were talking about the Chiefs? Because I sure did. The Raiders against the Chiefs, a split.
Yeah. I think I did too. So yeah, that was actually one of my splits.
Right.
It was either the Broncos. Okay, so then you go to the Chargers, and I think the Chargers are the only one that gets both from them. Surprisingly, as crazy as that is, because I think week 18. I'll tell you this in a minute, but they face the Chargers at home. So Allegiant Stadium. So I think that game is going to mean a lot for the AFC West standings as far as the Chargers go.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to need to win that game and win week 4.
The Chargers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Chargers, they go 2-0, and then I think because of some nonsense, they split with the Chiefs and they split with the Broncos because of just some goofiness. The Broncos is just too tight of a matchup for me. So I give them 2, 3, 4, and 2 in the AFC West this year.
Yeah, we are right aligned.
Raiders.
We are right aligned. It seems crazy after diving through this to say a split with the Chiefs, but just look back at last year.
Yeah.
They just played them so damn well on offense, and I think they get one of these 2 games.
And what did we talk about with the Chiefs? They're going to be solid. They're going to have a great year, but it's probably going to be those shootouts again.
Right. And, I'm going with the split on the Broncos as well. The Raiders actually took both games from them last year. The first of the 2, the Raiders absolutely shut them down, 37-12. Do think the Broncos have major improvements, but I will give them a split there. And then, once again, like you, I could not have said it any better for the Chargers. I believe they actually split last year, but it was 2 very close games. get Anthony Lynn out of town and the Chargers win both of those games, and I'll say it once again for this year. So 4-2 on my side as well, partner.
All right, so we line up in the West. Now, their first 4 opponents, their main 8 non-divisional games, are coming out of the AFC North. So a little bit tougher there. I think they're going to lose against the Ravens, no question in my mind. I do also think they lose against the Brownies. The Steelers is going to be a little bit more of a toss-up for me. The Steelers could flub that up, but I do think the Steelers' defense is just going to be a little bit too much early on in the season in week 2, so I will give the Steelers that one. And then the Bengals is going to be kind of a toss-up for me, but I'll give the Raiders that win just because it is the easiest game on their schedule. So give me 1-3 out of the AFC North.
I'm going worse, man. I'm going 0-4. I am going to give it to the Bengals. Raiders got it looks like the Bengals will be coming off of their bye in that one. The Raiders are going to be coming off of a Sunday night game against the Chiefs. Win or lose, that is going to be an absolute battle, or they'll just get absolutely embarrassed and have no confidence whatsoever. So I'm going to be picking the Bengals in that one. And then, week 1, first 2 weeks, they start Ravens Steelers. I don't like that matchup at all for the Raiders. Against the Ravens, and then I think the Steelers defense absolutely embarrasses this Raiders offense. And then what's the other one? The Browns in Week 15. That'll be an important one for the Browns. So I'm going a crisp 0-4 out of the AFC North.
Okay, wowza kapowza. So there's the first 4. Now the other 4, NFC-ish, as we have been referring to them. I believe the Cowboys win that game. I believe the Raiders win both the games against the Giants and the Eagles. I just don't think either of those teams are going to do enough offensively. And then I think they lose the game against the football team. Football team is a bad defensive matchup for them and a lot of teams in the NFL this year. So give me 2-2 in the NFC East matchup for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I won't waste too much time. I am going 2-2 as well. They got a little bit of a rest disadvantage against the Eagles, so that one I'm honestly a little on the fence for. And then I think they beat the Giants in Week 9. That's coming off of their Raiders bye. So I'll stick with 2-2. I guess one way or another, I'll leave that caveat in there. Maybe they can go in a shoot, because I think that Cowboys game should actually be a pretty solid game, just the matchup base. But I will go 2-2 one way or another.
All right, so same page again there. Now, 3 remaining games outside of the 8 non-divisional games. Play the Dolphins, the Colts, and the Bears. Bear down. I think the Dolphins get that victory. I really, truly believe the Dolphins get that victory. That is a pick'em in Las Vegas, week 3. I truly believe that it is going to be a rough start to the year for the Raiders, and I think they get that victory. The Colts, I think the Colts win that game as well. That's another one of their harder games, not only to cover, but on the schedule in general. Right. And then I've kicked this around a lot, and I don't think this is me being a homer, because I think week 5 is when Justin Fields comes in if he's not already in, and I think he absolutely lights the fuck up out of this Raiders defense. So give me 0-3 in the remaining 3. Wow.
I am right there with you, my man. I don't think you're a homer. On top of what you just said there, maybe it'll be the first week for Fields, maybe not, but one way or another, I agree with you there. I also think this defense for the Bears is a terrible matchup for the Raiders, so I am giving it to the Bears there. Echoing what you said on the Dolphins, man, that's going to be like an 0-6 start for the Raiders, but I don't think that's too crazy. Not going with the Dolphins, that's week 3, but regardless, I am going to a loss against the Dolphins. Week 17, the schedule makers, obviously it would have been trying to predict the future, but if the Colts were in that first 5 weeks without with the possibility of Wentz being gone, I would give the Raiders that win. But in week 17, I think the Colts are going to be figured out. They're going to be playing better. Might be a huge game for the Colts, so I am going 0-3, my friend.
Want to know why I'm laughing over here? I think we need to change careers and just start being lines makers and odds makers.
Dude.
Because we'll talk about the season win total here in the betting preview shortly. Currently set at 7 wins.
Sure.
If you're with me, you think they go 1-3 in the AFC North. They get the win over the Bengals, 7-10.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get that win over the Bengals, 6-10. But one thing you got to or 6-11. I apologize. But one thing you got to remember is that at the same exact time,
We gave him a win against the Chiefs. Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah, we were leaning to a couple of splits in the
win against
West.
the Chiefs and a loss against the Bengals. Wow.
So there's a few kind of key things you should think about there, and man, oh man, we are spot on that 7 wins, but I think they go under because we're a little bit more leany to a few of those games. But we'll talk about that in the full betting preview. That's our predictions for the Las Vegas Raiders, either 7-10 or 6-11 for John Gruden's boys this season.
Sorry,
That
John.
does not seem
Sorry,
like a
John.
winning year to me. It seems like John Gruden might be on out of town, but that does it for the Raiders. Quickly, the full schedule for now. The Los Angeles Chargers. Haha, switch the colors on you again, so keep it up, keep pace. Here we go. Keep it moving, keep it grooving. Same exact thing. The Chargers obviously play the exact same AFC West. Wouldn't you know, we decided to do these two teams on the same exact day because they're in the same exact division and everything just lined up so perfectly. And they're actually alphabetical too. How about that? Well, in the AFC West, I believe that they can get both games against those Broncos. They're not till late in the season. And Mile High, Week 12, going to be a little bit of a question mark with what the weather is there. But I think they can scratch that one out. And then you go back to LA for Week 17. Like I said, that's going to mean a lot. They play the Broncos and the Raiders to close out the season.
Right.
And I think getting those 2 wins are going to be important. So I got 2-0 against the Broncos. I got them splitting with the Chiefs, one way or the other. I think they're going to get one of those games.
Yep.
They just simply have to. And then I got them getting both over the Raiders. I already told you guys I don't see the Raiders getting any wins there. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 for me for the Chargers in the AFC West this year.
You know, I'm on the fence on 4 and 5. I believe I mentioned it yesterday. I'm giving them a split against the Chiefs. We mentioned it a few minutes ago. I'm giving them a sweep of the Raiders. So that is 3 and 1. And I'm on the fence with, a split with the Broncos. They played 2 very, very good games last year. And now, if what we're saying is true as far as their game management, they should be in position to win those 2 games. Broncos are a little bit improved, and the Broncos are going to be coming off their bye in Week 12, and it's in Denver, so I'm going to have to go with the split there, so I'll say 4 and 2.
All right. So we got those down. Now the same exact 8 non-divisional opponents,
Sure.
AFC North, NFC East. AFC North, I will say the Chargers go 3 and 1. Either one of the losses is going to come at the hands of Baltimore or the Brownies. I don't know which one. They're back-to-back Week 5 and Week 6. So I'll say 3 and 1. I think they coast to victory over the Bengals, coast to victory over the Steelers, and then it's going to be a toss-up. I think both games are shootouts, and both of them are going to end as a coin flip between the Browns and the Ravens.
Yeah.
One or the other, they're going to lose there. So I'll give them 3 and 1 in the AFC North.
I'll kind of echo what you said there. I think that game against the Steelers could be a solid one because I really like the Steelers' defense, but I think the Chargers' offense has enough to edge them out on Sunday Night Football in L.A., so I'll say 3 and 1. I lean towards a win over the Ravens and a loss against the Browns, but I could go either way on those. So I will say a split between those, and like you said, I'll take a nice win against the Bengals as well. So 3 and 1 for me out of that crew.
10-4 NFC East. I'll take them. Oh,
Good over there.
Yeah, well, that Cowboys game
those
is what
first 2,
sticks with
honestly,
me the most. The Cowboys and the football team are really what I think would hinge the only 2. I think they steamroll through the Giants and the Eagles, no question in my mind.
Okay.
Dallas is an early season game that is at home. That is
Correct.
in LA. So potentially I see him getting that one. And then the game against the football team is actually Week 1. So that one is also played in LA.
No, that's on the
that
road.
one is on the road. So damn, I don't want to say that the Chargers open up their season with a loss, but shit. Either the boys or the football team, Week 1, Week 2, I think one of those are going to be a loss, and I would lean to the football team, and everybody lose their mind. Oh my gosh, is Justin Herbert not as good as he was? Is the Chargers dead? They get Anthony Lynn out, Brandon State. I see everybody now, the media losing their fucking minds, and then they rifle off 11 wins from there.
And then I'm going to be like, hey, wait a second. The football team might be pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
So you're going 3-1?
I'm going 3-1.
I will stick right with you there. I'll say it's split between those first two, one way or another, kind of like what you said, because that Washington defense is so damn solid. I think the Chargers have enough offense to edge them out, but it is on the other side of the country. So I don't know. I will say a split because, that Week 2 game is going to be a shootout one way or another as long as Dak is healthy. And anything could happen there. So I will say a clean split. Not a clean split, obviously, but a split. And then, I'm not going to spend much time. They're going to smoke both the Eagles and the Giants.
I'm honestly wondering, too, if that Week 1 game against the football team will be, obviously, we're Central Time if you're not at Central Time watching us, if it'll be one of those 3:25 games or a noon game.
I can probably
check it and see while I kind of wrap this up. But if it's a noon game, then football team all day long. But if it's 3:25, then
I guess that's a good question. Even when they travel across the country, it's a noon game. It is a noon game. Huh?
Oh shit! So yeah, give me the football team in that one. That cements me in at 3-1 for sure.
I'd love to see some numbers on that. West Coast teams traveling to the East Coast having to play at noon.
Maybe we'll dive into that.
So that is hey, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's absolutely something. Because that I could see it being a tough struggle there. Because that's
gotta write down some
that's
notes.
like especially in
always thinking.
I think that's 10 a.m. for Chargers time zone. So
yeah, that's early as all hell. Remaining 3 games outside of the ones we have covered now: Patriots, Texans, Vikings.
Okay,
Texans 1-0, easy money, no question in my mind. That is one of their easiest games on the schedule outside of the Giants.
I think it is the easiest.
Well, as far as coverability,
sure, okay.
On the number, but whatever.
Anyways,
neither here nor there. Then Vikings and Patriots are pretty evenly matched as far as east to win, east to cover. I think they do end up losing one of those games. I'm just going to be a little bit tentative just because either Zimmer figures out some type of defensive confusion for Herbert or Belichick.
Sure.
Belichick does it. Either or. One of those two guys are going to figure out something defensively, and I would lean Belichick just because he's had a lot of success. I guess Herbert's not a rookie anymore, but year 2 quarterbacks, I'm sure he's probably damn good. Oh, and wouldn't you just so know that the Chargers lost 45-0?
Only ass whooping that they suffered last year, man.
Yeah, and obviously he's not a rookie anymore, but a lot of that is because Belichick, what the fuck am I doing? Belichick
smokes rookies.
Has so much success against rookies now, obviously year 2, but I think he does have some success against Herbert once again. So I'll go 2-1 in the remaining 3.
Despite what we just said, damn, that was actually at home last year. That's weird that they get him back-to-back in LA. I guess that was,
Give him another shot, another go around.
I don't know. That score is the only thing that's kind of keeping me away from 3-0.
That was that game where the Pats had like 2 special teams touchdowns too.
I mean, he's still 45-0 though.
It was absolutely insane.
I think it's gonna be a lot different. I'm leaning into still 3-0 here out of these 3. They get the Patriots at home again. It is out of the bye week this time around. So I'm kind of leaning towards 3-0 because I think they beat the Vikings. I do, and then I'm not even gonna waste time on the Texans. They'll get them, but I want to say 3-0, and I think I'm going to stick to that coming out of the bye week. I'm tentative because, like I said, all of their losses, they lost 9 games. 7 of them were by 1 score. They lost to the Bills by 10, and then there's that game against the Patriots that they got just absolutely cleaned out. And so, because I do remember, like you said, there was some goofy stuff that happened, but, I mean, a shutout is a shutout, but hell, I'll give them 3-0, man.
Once again, I say to you, partner, we should go make lines and forget about handicap and everything. We're just so damn good at what we're doing here. I got to make sure that I'm spot on before I say this again. Holy shit, we got a lot of pages here. They are set at 9.5. Okay, so we're well over. I thought it was 12.5. It is 9.5. We'll talk about that, but whether you're with Mags or you're with me, he was a little tentative on the Chargers in the AFC West. I was a little bit more tentative on them on the remaining 3. Either way, you picked up a loss one way or the other. 13-4 from the both of us. So, man, I know that seems lofty with what we've seen from the Chargers, but it just keeps coming down to this entirely new coaching staff and the abilities that they've shown. I don't think we're going to see a 7-9 season. Well, we can. It would be 7-10. I don't think we're going to see a 5-11 season. Well, it can. It would be 5-12. I don't think we're going to see those. I think it's going to be if at the very worst, 11-6, man.
Right.
I really think maybe you could scratch out 2 losses here or there. But man, 13-4 does not seem too lofty to me with what we saw last year and an entirely revamped coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there are certainly a couple losses that you could pick off, or a couple wins that we gave them that you could pick off there. But one way or another, I see at least 11.
As do I. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The entire. Hi, John Chaney. How you doing, my friend? Yeah, we're super high on the football team as well. No doubt about it in my mind. We're thinking, man, they might have a shot to do a little playoff run here.
Yeah, maybe.
A little riverboat run.
Gotta wait a couple weeks for us to get a preview.
Steamed up. But yeah, we'll see all what happens. But hey, thanks for stopping by today, my friend. We appreciate you. Moving right along, let's keep the show steaming on down the track. Speaking of steaming, we're actually not doing too bad on time.
No,
we might be
steaming right along.
From what I'm thinking, we might probably wrap up right about quarter to noon, somewhere right in that ballpark. So here we go. Let's dive back into the silver and black and get with the entire betting preview. Third segment of the day, my friends. Here we go. Now, as always, I'll still kick things off with the 2020 stats, but go a little bit more hyperspeed than usual. 2020 average line for the Raiders, they were a 1.2 underdog, and they've caught a few extra points, couple decimal points here in 2021, coming in as a 2-point dog on average. In 2021, the Raiders are favored in 6 games and underdogs in 10 games, so obviously the books don't have much faith in them either, and then they pick them in week 3 versus Miami. That covers all 17. 2020 against the number, they were 8-8 and 8-8 straight up. 3-4 as a favorite, 5-4 as a dog. At home, they were 4-4 against the number, 2-6 straight up, 1-1 ATS as a home favorite, and 3-3 ATS as a home dog. Same number on the road, 4-4 ATS, 8-0 straight up, though, on the road. Very surprising there. Obviously, not having crowds loomed large for the Raiders last year. 2-3 ATS as an away favorite, and 2-1 ATS as an away dog. As far as their over-unders go, they had an average line of 51.6 in 2020, and the books are giving them a little less respect this year. Tick that down to 49.3, almost over 2 full percentage points. In 2020, they had an over-under record of 13.3, or 13 and 3. I apologize. I'll let you be the judge of that 49.3 here in 2021 is where I was going with that. So, little interesting, they dropped them down with them having a 13-3 over-under record.
Very interesting.
7-1 to the over at home, 6-2 to the over on the road, 5-2 to the over as a favorite, and 7-1-1 to the over as an underdog.
Goodness.
So absolute wagon to the over. I did not realize.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
I think it's because I avoided the Raiders a lot overall last year, just because of how much of a question mark they have been.
Right.
I think I will avoid them again on the number, but we might have to look into some totals, and depending on who they're playing, I'll talk about it here in a minute in the weekly lines. There might be some value on those bad boys. Last but certainly not least, from 2020, you know we love a good teaser over here. In 6 and 7 points, you might want to be tentative with the old Raiders, 11-4 and 12-4, so it's got to be a good spot. But if you do need that extra leg in the 10 point, I suggest you add the Raiders, but be careful. It's got to be real good. Make sure you get them through 3, 4, 5 key numbers. 13-3 in 10-point teasers. So that would probably be the best spot to add them if you are going to add them to a teaser, but that is a big maybe.
Yeah, despite those numbers, I'm still nervous for this year, if I'm being totally honest.
Absolutely. So I ripped through that. There's the 2020 stats. Let's get into 2021. Back from the past into the future. Here we go. So I skipped it in the schedule, but I won't skip it this time around, my friends. Without further ado, the full weekly betting lines and the weekly betting schedule, everything in between. Week 1, I already told you about it. Talked about it a little while. I guess, man, it seemed like a freaking year ago with having 2 teams we're fucking talking about.
Oh, yeah, no kidding, man.
Holy shit. All right, week 1, Raiders getting 4 points at home in Allegiant Stadium against the Ravens. Not surprising, though. Then they go on the road to Heinz Field. I believe it's still Heinz Field. Getting 5.5 points in week 2 against the Steelers. It is a pick'em. Already told you about that against Miami in week 3. Week 4, getting 4 points against the Chargers. at home in Allegiant. Then week 5, that is also in Allegiant. They welcome in my Bears. Bear down. They are 3.5-point favorites in that game. I think that's fishy as all hell. I'll gladly take the 3 points with my Bears. And then week 6, they are getting 3.5 points on the road in Denver, coming in dogs there. Then week 7, giving 3.5 points in Philly. So they are favored in Philadelphia week 7. Week 8 is their bye week. So you fantasy players, you bettors, remember week 8 for the Raiders. Week 9, they are 1.5-point dogs against the Giants. Actually surprising that they're coming in as underdogs against the Giants, but that is on the road. And then coming in as 7.5-point dogs in Allegiant Stadium in week 10 against the Chiefs. Laying 4.5 points in week 11 against the Bengals. That is at home in Allegiant. So much like me, the books think that they're going to get that win over the Bengals, but Riley is not buying all of that nonsense whatsoever. Week 12, getting 5.5 points against the Cowboys in Dallas. Week 13, they are laying 2.5 points against the football team. Horse shit. John, you're going to love me saying this once again, my friend. I will hammer the fuck out of the football team on the money line. I don't need the 2.5 points. Give me the football team in week 13.
Something tells me that's going to be flipped by the time we get there.
You best believe it. So maybe if you have an opportunity to hammer it in right now, hammer that son of a bitch in right now. I don't know if they have week 13 lines available, but if so, there you go. Week 14, they go to 10.5-point underdogs when going to Arrowhead Stadium against the Chiefs, and then get 6.5 going to visit the Brownies in the dog pound in week 15. Week 16, they are laying 2.5 points against the Broncos, and I do believe that I will take the Broncos there once again. That game is in Allegiant, but honestly, that might be the game, if they do split, that the Raiders get. So maybe take the Raiders there. I don't know. Week 17, 18, close out the season as 6-point dogs against the Colts in Lucas Oil, and then 1.5-point favorites. Favored yet again. Actually, they weren't favored in the Chargers the first time. I apologize. Favored by 1.5 points against the Chargers to close out the season in Allegiant Stadium. Whew. All right, so now you know full schedule, all the betting lines. Humble opinion before we dive into it. I don't think there's much value here in the Las Vegas Raiders.
I don't think so either.
I think there's going to be a lot of fadeable opportunities for this team. Most notably, I love Baltimore in week 1, even though that is an Allegiant. That's going to be huge for Baltimore. We'll talk about way too early, so I don't want to waste too much time there. I love the Chargers both times more than I think most people would. I love the Bears getting 3.5. I would take the Bears money line in that. I already said it. I love the football team getting 2.5. Would take the money line there. Cincinnati is fucking intriguing with you saying that. You know how 4.5,
baby.
4.5 is that key underdog spread in the NFL. So man, you might have to give me that 4.5 on the Bengals. And then I think the Chiefs absolutely run them out of town. I don't think 10.5 and 7.5 are even good enough. Well, actually, maybe not, because they have been some damn shootouts, and we said we were going to flip.
I have to imagine they covered both games last year.
So maybe think about, I actually walked back that statement a little bit, actually potentially think about taking that 10.5 and 7.5. Obviously, that's not till week 10 and week 14, so we got plenty of time, but a little early value look at. Partner, anything jumping off the screen at you as far as ease of cover, anything you might fade, might take?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fade territory, in my opinion, here, especially those first 3 weeks. We'll see what the numbers do. I will say not much movement, but 4.5 in week 1 now, 6 in week 2 against the Steelers. A nice half-point movement for both teams. I think I might be fading them the first 5 weeks, kind of like we said, first 6 weeks, hell, honestly. And then week 7 and 8. We'll see what we get to by that point, but I mentioned it. The Giants and the Eagles are the 2 that I felt the most confident in, so it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
I mean, fuck, dude, they could start the season 0-5.
That's what I'm saying.
They could very well start the season 0-5, 0-6. I mean, and if they're in a bad spot at that time, they could pick up a loss to the Eagles.
Yeah, I was about to say
very
the same
easily,
thing, man.
0-7. Holy cow. If that happens, Gruden might be out the door before they hit the fucking bye week. And they might not even make it to the bye before Gruden is out of town.
It would be shocking to me, not from an 0-7 standpoint, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man.
There's hot takes as far as the spreads go. Game totals, nothing really to write home about right now.
Right.
Obviously told you about 2020. They were freaking wagon to the over that we didn't even know about, just because it's probably going to be the same spread story as it was in 2020. They have some highs, 53s, 52, stuff like that, but that's against the good teams, like against the Colts, against the Chiefs, against really good teams. And then everything else is right around that mid 40, 46, 47, 48. So, hey, if they're going to have the opportunity to score and they're playing a decent offense, they might be a wagon to the over once again. Right. I can't call it right now because I don't know exactly what we're going to see out of this offense. I think Derek Carr is going to have to shoulder an enormous load just to have them have any type of success this year, and Josh Jacobs too. Man, we talked about it. This offensive line is going to screw them in more ways than I think we can already talk about. So that does it as far as over-under, everything on that end of the spectrum. Now, almost messed up and said my pick. I kind of did, but before we keep it moving and grooving, talking about the season win total, everything here, before we switch over to the Chargers, partner, way too early, week 1, pick the Raiders. Welcome in the purple and black. It'll probably actually be white and black on that day, as the Raiders welcome in the Ravens to Allegiant Stadium on week 1. The Raiders are getting 4 points right now. Are you going to grab those up because you know you just got any opportunity take points in the NFL, or are you fading the hell out of it and you see the Ravens maybe even winning by a touchdown plus?
I don't know if this will be in my bet slip for sure or not, but I am siding with the Ravens in this one. I think this is a brutal matchup for the Raiders, and I think Lamar Jackson absolutely embarrasses this defense. And I think they get enough pressure to hold it down to at least a touchdown. I mentioned it's only 4.5. I don't think it'll go all the way up past the touchdown. I'd be hard pressed to imagine it moves 3 points over the next couple of weeks. So if it gets up over a touchdown, I might be feeling differently. But anything under 6, I probably going to be taking the Ravens.
I would agree with everything you said there. Not really any need for me to waste too much time on it. If it gets up to a touchdown, I'll probably avoid it. And much like you said, this probably isn't going in my bet slip right away because I don't know exactly what we'll see from the Ravens offense. I think it'll be good, but I'd avoid it in general. But gun to the head, as always, Ravens -4. I'm hammering it in. So that does it. Weekly lines, everything. Let's quickly just talk about their season win total and then any outstanding value outside of that, which there's really not any outstanding value outside of that. So quickly, season win total, told you just a little while ago, it is set at 7 wins for the Raiders. I scratched out 7 and 10. Mags scratched out 6 and 11. If that tells you anything, stay the hell away from this season win total. I think it stays under. I wouldn't. Right now, the over 7 is at -110 and the under 7 is at -110. I wanted to preface that because this is what I'm going to say. I wouldn't risk that chalk on, and that's not really even chalk, on a potential push at 7.
Right.
And I think that they go under, but at -110, the books are clearly showing you I think they go under. So there's really no value in this one for me. I'll avoid the Las Vegas Raiders season win total because I think it could happen just how we scratched it out, or they could be piss poor, start 0-7, and it's an absolute dumpster fire.
Right. I mean, I kind of echo what you said. If you really think it's going to be bad, maybe look at an under 5.5, but that seems real low, man. So, yeah, I'm staying away. Kind of what you said. The books, if it's both at -110 and it's right at 7, that just kind of screams to me that they're not totally sure. So I'll stay away altogether. I lean towards the under as well, though.
10-4. Now, as far as making or missing the playoffs, book don't have much confidence in the Raiders. Yes is at +350. No is at -480. It would be an incredibly hard pull the rabbit out of your hat type moment for the Raiders if they were able to make the playoffs this year. They'd have to do a lot in the AFC West and then do a lot against their main 8 non-divisional opponents. So obviously, that's going to be a no for me, but at -480, I'm not eating that chalk. I'm leaving it alone. And if you're a diehard, maybe a little sprinkle on the yes, but I'd say stay the hell away.
Yeah, I'm staying the hell away. I would say, I guess their path is laid out for them. Obviously, they play 2 good potential playoff teams in their own division. They play 3 out of the AFC North potential playoff teams, and they play 2 AFC playoff teams in the Dolphins and Colts. So I suppose the path is there to beat those teams and be in position, but I don't think they're going to beat those teams except for maybe one or two. So I am staying way the hell away.
Sure. And just some evidence that the books are pretty much thinking that the Raiders finish where our predictions are at right now. No real value here, but right now, fourth in the AFC West to win it, plus 1,300 odds. No value really for me at all in the AFC, neither for the books, 13th overall, plus 3,700 odds. And then Super Bowl, plus 7,500 odds, tied for 25th. They are also worse than the Giants and the Falcons.
That sounds good.
So no value there. Nothing we really need to waste time on in that spectrum.
The one thing I would say that kind of solidifies what we said, to finish exactly fourth in the division, they are at minus 130. That is one of the only teams that I've seen so far, except for a couple of very, very bad teams, that I've seen are right at that number in a minus spot. So that kind of solidifies to me that the books think they are finishing dead last in this division.
Yeah, a favorite selected to finish dead last. I'll probably be avoiding
unless it's anything more than minus 200, like Texans or Lions or something like that. It screams, yeah.
Yeah, so once again, stuff you're not going to find anywhere else. You're going to find exact odds of where the Las Vegas Raiders will finish in the AFC West here at the Talking the Line podcast, and we'll tell you whether it has any value or not. That's actually very surprising, and it might have some doggone value, boys and girls. I have no idea, but I'll probably be avoiding it. But thank you for mentioning it because it does loom large into everything else. All right, that does it. Full betting preview, Las Vegas Raiders. Let's change the colors on the screen here to the LA Chargers. And now, kick things off the exact same way. Before I do, hyperspeed, quick sip of some high-quality H2O. Now, as for 2020 for the Chargers, against the number ATS, they had an average line of 0.3, minus 0.3, so they were favored. Getting a little bit more love from the books. They think they see some improvements here in 2021, giving a half a point on average, so minus 0.5 favorites. In 2021, they are favored in 11 games and underdogs in 6 games. So books, once again, have some respect for what they're seeing and what they think this coaching staff does. In 2020, however, the Chargers were 9-7 ATS with a 7-9 straight-up record. As a favorite, they were 5-4 ATS, and as a dog, they were 4-3 ATS. At home in the brand new SoFi Stadium, they were 4-4 against the number, as well as 4-4 straight up. As a favorite, they were 3-3 against the number and 1-1 against the number as an underdog. On the road, however, they were 5-3 against the number, 3-5 straight up. 2-1 ATS as a road favorite, and 3-2 ATS as a road dog. Nothing majorly you can write home about there, but I think some of those numbers and some of those struggles are because of the curse of Anthony Lynn, and I think those are going to improve dramatically here in 2021. Not a whole lot you can say either about the over-unders, the trends there from 2020, but once again, I think we might see this team turn into a bit of an over team here in 2021. They had an average line of 47.9 in 2020. Books have ticked it up a few percentage points in 2021 to 48.1. I think that they have potential to smash some of those totals, and we'll talk about that here in the weekly lines. Last but certainly not least, for the over-unders, in 2020, they had a 9-7 overall over-under record. They were 5-3 to the under at home, 6-2 to the over on the road, 5-4 to the under as a favorite, and 5-2 to the over as a dog. Nothing major you can really write home about there other than maybe on the road and as the dog, they were solid to the over. But then again, who knows? We have full crowds in the stands this year, so I don't know if you can really write home about that. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the weekly portion. Last but certainly not least here, teasers. Chargers are a team you need to add to your teasers, no doubt, even with having some of the piss poor coaching decisions last year and some of the blown covers that they had last year. In 6, 7, and 10-point teasers, all three of those categories, they held 14-2 records. So if you're looking for that extra leg, I think most assuredly even more this year, the Chargers are going to be a definite teaser ad. If you're kicking the feet up Sunday morning, you just cracked open the first brew, games are about to rock and roll. Oh, I got to toss in a $20 teaser real quick.
Sure enough.
A little extra juice. Add the Chargers. All right, so that does it all from 2020. We are back into 2021 now. Overall, I have a lot more faith, and I'm going to enjoy this a little bit more than we just talked about the Raiders. Overall, let me quickly run through the weekly schedule here again. That way we're all on the same page. And then, partner, I'll just kick it over to you. You got any early value, anything like that? So week 1. Again, playing that aforementioned Washington football team. They are laying 1.5 points, and that game is played on the road. I do believe, as we talked about, that is the early loss, as brutal as it's going to be, that these Chargers will receive. So I'll just tell you way too early, I think I'm going to take the Washington football team on the money line. Week 2, they are laying 1.5 this one is in SoFi Stadium. This is in LA against the Cowboys. Then they're getting 7.5 points in week 3 against the Chiefs, laying 4 points in week 4 at home against the Raiders. Already talked about that. Week 5, getting 1.5 against the Browns. Week 6, they're getting 5.5 points against the Ravens, and that is at M&T Bank Stadium. And then week 7 is their bye week. So week before the Raiders, week 8 is for the Raiders. Week 7 for the Chargers is their bye week. So week 8, they are giving 2.5 points to the Patriots in week 8. That game is played in SoFi Stadium. They're also giving 2 points to the Eagles in week 9. That one is in Philadelphia. Week 10, giving 3 points to the Vikings, giving 2.5 points to the Steelers in week 11. Week 12, they're getting 2.5 points to the Broncos. Obviously, that one being played in Mile High, you can understand that line. Week 13, they are giving 2.5 points to the Bengals, giving 6 points rather to the Giants in week 14, getting 6.5 points in week 15 to the Chiefs. Close out their season 16, 17, and 18, giving 4.5 points to the Texans, giving 3 points to the Broncos, and getting 1.5 points against the Raiders. Overall, I love that those numbers are so doggone small.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to dissect them too deep now because it's going to depend week to week and truly what we see from Brandon Staley, Joe Lombardi, and Ronaldo Hill. No question about it. We obviously still know that this Chargers team blew a lot of covers last year, gave us a lot of issues. But as for me and you, Anthony Lynn's out of town. That's going to be one of the big things. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think they're going to have an immense amount of value. Anything jumping off the page at you right off the bat, partner?
Yeah, the couple of first thoughts that I have is week 1 and 2, I feel like I'm pretty confident in what I expect from not only this team, but also Washington and Dallas. I think I'm going to be staying away, though. Maybe I'll be talked into it, but I think I'll be staying away just so I can solidify what it is that I think I'm going to see. And then what I'm really looking forward to is out of the bye week, I guess what we see through those first 6 weeks, because they have arguably their 3 toughest games on their schedule at Chiefs and at Ravens and at home against the Browns. So if they come out of that stretch going 3-3, those lines are going to be right around where they are right now against the Patriots, Eagles, and Vikings and Steelers. And I'll probably be scooping up just about every single one of those 4 lines. So either they'll be right there or they'll look fantastic through the first 5 or 6 weeks. And those lines might be a little different, but I'm kind of anticipating that those weeks 8 through 11 lines are going to be really tasty and really coverable for this team, especially with 3 of the 4 coming out of home.
All right, I'd agree with you on that end of the spectrum too. Week 8, I'd be a little bit more tentative because when we talked about it in the schedule, that was my one loss for the Chargers out of those other 3. So outside of that, I would definitely agree with you on that end of the spectrum, and I think they have more than enough opportunity to, if not miss it by 1 or 2, almost match that 13-4 straight up record we did. I don't mind them 13-4 ATS, somewhere around there this season. Okay.
I think at home they're going to be, that's really where I'm anticipating they're going to be making some people some money. I think they're going to be very good. Maybe they got a couple that, they're dogs against the Browns and the Chiefs, but aside from that, I've got a lot of faith in them in LA this year.
9 of their games are played at home, and most of them are very, very tiny -2.5, -3 spreads. Right. So, hey, that's always something you love to see. All right, well, that does it. As far as game totals go, nothing really to talk about here for the time being. They obviously do have some high totals with some of the teams they play, but for the most part, once again, it's right around those mid to even low 40s in some cases. Mid 40s overall. So they could turn into an over team here. We're just going to have to see exactly if this offense lives up to our predictions, which I do believe it does. I don't have any questions in my mind as far as that goes. So We'll have to wait and see, but nothing to write home about so far as the game totals go. I already told you guys mine. Partner, way too early. Week 1 pick. The Chargers go to visit the Washington football team in FedEx Field?
Yeah, it was at one point. I think it's still FedEx.
I do believe, or maybe they yanked it with everything going on.
Knows?
Who the hell knows? That's not here or there. We're at way too early. Week 1 pick. What are you thinking?
Gun to my head. Like I said, I'll probably stay away from it. Gun to my head, I think I'll side with Washington. First 2 weeks have gone down from -1.5 to -1 in favor of the Chargers. I think I'll be siding with the football team, but as I mentioned, I'll probably be staying away.
All right. Well, there you have it. There you go. All the weekly lines are way too early week 1 pick. Let's quickly talk about the season win total and then any additional value. We'll talk about some fantasy stuff, and we'll get the hell on out of here. How about that?
How about it?
Man, we covered 2 teams solidly today, my friend.
Absolutely.
We still got a lot to go, but let's keep rocking and rolling. All right. Season win total set at 9.5, my friends. Whether you're with Mags on how you kind of get there or the path you get there through me, we both had 13 and 4 for these guys. The over 9.5 is at +110 and the under -135. You know, I'm very interested in that over at +110. I think it's very juicy odds. This might be one that I hammer in. I think that they set it at 9.5 just because of what the Chargers have been over the course of the last few years, and they expect a huge amount of people to hammer in that under.
Mm-hmm.
I would take the +110. Give me the plus money Paulie at the over 9.5 here for the season win total. I think they get at least 11.
I am right there with you. And for that matter, I'm going to be actually hammering in the alternate 10.5 at +170. I think that's got some value to it. For how high on this team that I am, I can't pass that up. And, certainly if you're trying to be a little safer, that +110 certainly has its value itself. But for me personally, with how high I am, I'm going to have to hammer in that alternate over.
I like that at +170. That is, that's actually really, really valuable. So, I'm glad you mentioned that, partner. I am really glad you mentioned that. All right, so yeah, potentially the over 10.5 too. But if you're not as crazy, that over 9.5 looks to be the right play. Make or miss the playoffs. To make the playoffs, they are dogs, but not by much. +126. To miss the playoffs is at -154. Again, I got to take the plus money, Paulie, take the value that I'm seeing, and I think that they have a way, even with not getting first overall in the AFC West, or maybe they even do if the Chiefs flub up here or there. I think they still can make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I like this play. I would prefer the over 10.5 just because I think 11 wins is going to have to do it in the AFC. Maybe 10 wins will get it, and so maybe you would prefer that playoff spot. So I think it certainly has some value, but personally, I'll head over to the 10.5 with some juicier odds.
Show enough. Last but certainly not least, some of the final closing kind of additional side bets and other value. As far as AFC West winner goes, I would lean to the Chiefs once again. They do have a little bit of value, +490 for the Chargers right now to win it. That's second. They are right behind the Chiefs. I think they finish second, but they still find a way to squeak into the playoffs, either via a wild card spot or something else. So, yeah, I once again think that the over 9.5 or over 10.5 is going to be the most value here.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's going to be, like I said, for how much I like this team, it's going to be hard for me to not sprinkle on that +490, but hard to bet against the Kansas City Chiefs. So for that matter, I will most likely be staying away.
Mainly no value on conference winner, AFC winner, or Super Bowl. There are a lot of other teams that could get the job done before them, but not saying the Chargers can't sneak in there and surprise all of us and then be a fun team to bet on in the playoffs.
Right.
+1,600, 7th place right now to win the AFC, and then in 15th place to take home the Lombardi from Super Bowl 56, +3,300 odds for the Chargers right now. A couple of different ones to look at. If you're a big fan of Joey Bosa, he has Defensive Player of the Year odds right now. Didn't drop those odds
in. Oh, goodness, that's my bad.
You did have him at 6th overall, and I know you were just kind of...
That's my bad. Yeah, sorry.
Going around over there. Another one while I'm getting all those pulled up.
I know Staley is Coach of the Year at 1,300.
All right, so Brandon Staley is the other one. I hadn't mentioned that yet, but Brandon Staley was the other side bet we were going to do. Was Coach of the Year, so he's at plus 1,300.
And then Bosa is at 1,700.
At 1,700 for Defensive Player of the Year. You know where my thoughts lie, and hey, John, you're going to like this again, but I am with Chase Young, my friend, for Defensive Player of the Year. So I will avoid Joey Bosa. Potentially worth a look, but I'd say avoid it if that's where you guys are leaning. And then Brandon Staley, Coach of the Year. Not a bad look whatsoever at plus 1,300. That almost might roll into my number 2 spot. My three right now that I'm struggling with are Sean McVay, Arthur Smith, and then now Brandon Staley.
Okay.
If Arthur Smith can turn around Atlanta, that's going to be absolutely huge.
Sure.
If Brandon Staley can rip off 13 wins in LA, this is all but his.
Right.
This is all but his. So that got really interesting to me. And McVay was my favorite, but I might just have shifted over a little bit to Brandon Staley. McVay, because he hasn't made it to the playoffs in a while. I don't want to say the Rams have been mediocre, but they've just been more quiet than they usually are. And it's just not that McVay team that you expect. And I think they're going to make waves in the NFL this year. But man, the more I think about it, if Brandon Staley can do what we're talking about, this Coach of the Year, just like Stefanski last year, this is all but Staley's.
I think the path is there. I don't know if I'll be hammering it in. I don't, because there's a lot of guys that have a nice path for it, but I think Staley has the clearest path. And like you said, 13 wins, maybe even 12 for that matter, might just about do it. And if they fucking win the division, you absolutely can guarantee he's winning this thing. But that would be my front runner for my favorite in this one, but I think I'll have to stay away, but we'll see.
All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. The entire season betting preview, the value we love from the Los Angeles Chargers this season. All right, my friends, we have made it to the fourth and final segment of NFL Special Edition number 17, episode 106 of the TTL Pod, Chargers, Raiders. It is now time to get back on the silver and black and give you our best fantasy advice in start, stash, or pass for the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, we're going to go through this a little bit more hyper speed than usual. So, quarterback room. Partner, I'll let you kick things off here. We obviously have Derek Carr, QB1, and Marcus Mariota, QB2. Are you wasting any fantasy draft capital on either of these young men? And if you do, are you starting them, stashing them, or passing on them altogether?
Mariota, no thank you. I did mention Derek Carr could be gone, if not middle of the season, by the end of the season. As far as his fantasy value, I don't think that means I'll be passing on him. He was the number 13 QB last year. But like I said, I am worried about the offensive line. We're making him look terrible. So I want to pass on him. I'm sure he might be in that realm of when I typically draft quarterbacks, but I have to imagine there's going to be another guy that's right there. So I'm actually going to be passing on him despite I think he could be still right around that top 15 range, but I'll pass. I will pass.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where my thoughts lie. I have gotten stuck with Derek Carr a few times in the past because he does kind of fall right into that draft strategy. Yeah. We draft typically very similar. We go after the high-level running backs. If those running backs aren't there, we go number 1 wide receiver, get all the big guys. So, you know, it's the classic draft strategy, and that sometimes happens. So if it's kind of getting there, what I'm thinking this year, if it's kind of getting to that spot, I really don't want to get stuck with Derek Carr again. I think he could be solid, be in the top 20 QBs, but he's not going to win you many games. He's not going to help you all too much. From a cumulative total, sure, but probably not from week to week. Right. So I will pass on him too, with a strategy in my draft of hopefully avoiding him altogether. And if I see him getting close, scooping up the next best quarterback available. And then I will pass on Mariota as well. Obviously, I haven't seen a ton of fantasy production from him. But like you said, partner, if Derek Carr is out, then he could potentially soar through the ceiling and have a sky-high ceiling, rather. So we'll see, but I'm going to pass on both of these guys for now. Running back room, you have Josh Jacobs, status of Kenyon Drake still a little bit up in the air, and then a very muddy backfield headed by Jalen Richard. I'm going to pass on Jalen Richard. I've tried to add him to my fantasy team time and time again, even in just a minor flex role, and it just does not work out. It never does. Don't try and convince yourself of it. He's a great player. He's a great back in Las Vegas. Nothing against that, but he's just not a great fantasy back. Josh Jacobs, I think we're going to have to temper expectations just a little bit for him this year. I will scoop him up, but I will only give him my RB2 spot with the potential of a flex floor from week to week. There was a few weeks where he put up single digits last week and cost me a few fantasy games because I bought into all of the snake oil of Josh Jacobs over the past 2 years, and I was sorely disappointed last year. So I think we see more of the same, maybe a little bit of an uptick, but not enough to get him back into that RB1 talk whatsoever. So I'll keep him as my RB2. And then without really knowing the status of Kenyon Drake, I put him in the flex tier with RB2 upside on a good day.
Yep.
I'll leave him in flex for the most part. If I had to choose, I would totally pass on Richard. I already told you that, but maybe potentially get a little spot on Kenyon Drake. Maybe he steals all the receiving work from Jacobs, as we have seen in the past with the other backs in that backfield. However, Drake isn't a very good receiving back, so who knows what even happens in that department. So if anybody, I'm targeting Jacobs. Lock him in as an RB2 week to week. Be cautious. Might have some flex downside, so you might want to have somebody else to back him up. And then also put a bench spot on Mr. Kenyon Drake for the time being.
I'm actually going to pass on Kenyon Drake. He certainly has some value, but you mentioned with Josh Jacobs, Drake over the course of the last few years is one of the biggest, maybe the poster child for running backs in fantasy that might have some days that he'll get over 20 points. He is going to have just as many days where he gets you 5 or less. And I don't like those guys, especially not at running back trying to win me some games. So I'm going to be passing on him for that matter. And then Josh Jacobs, he was number 8 running back last year. He is very good. But as I mentioned at the top of the show, I don't think this offensive line is going to be doing him any favors. And kind of like you said last year where you had a lot of high hopes for him, I have to imagine there's going to be at least a handful of people thinking that in year 3, what I believe is year 3, he's going to have a nice jump. Skill-wise, I would agree with that, but I think the situation is not there. I think he might finish outside of the top 10 running backs in points. So if he falls to me, which I don't expect, I would absolutely start him as a running back 2 or even a flex, but I'm not drafting him in the first 2 rounds. Not a chance.
No, me either. He definitely falls out of that category for me this year, and hate to say it because I absolutely I still love him as a football player, but just as a fantasy player,
right.
I can't buy into it again this year. Wide receiver room, I'm going to pass on Hunter Renfrow. I will also pass on Bryan Edwards, and I will stash Henry Ruggs for now. You mentioned it in your analysis in the team breakdown. Henry Ruggs is just not the number 1 receiver option that I want to see. I would rather see him in a slot, maybe a number 2 wide receiver option. He's good. He's got burners, but he's just not the outside threat that you need. At best, I see wide receiver 3 ceiling for him this year. I think he's going to fall down into more of that flex tier. I think Derek Carr is going to struggle. I think this offensive line is going to struggle. They're going to try and run the ball more than they need to, and it's just going to be a dumpster fire and a half. So I would say avoid the wide receiver room altogether, except Henry Ruggs. Definitely, if you get him in some of the later rounds, he's definitely worth a flex wide receiver 3 spot.
Sure. I echo most of what you're saying. I'll save some time because I will also stash Henry Ruggs just based off talent. I still have to imagine that someone's going to overdraft him based off talent alone.
Yeah.
And I have no interest in doing that. I would love to, if he falls to me, I would love to have him. Love to take a flyer on him. Dynasty that will be in certainly has a little bit more value because I did mention I think he's going to have a good career. I just don't think it's going to start this year. So
Sure.
I'll pass on the whole rest of a lot of them. And I'll stash Henry Ruggs.
All right. And tight end room. Only really one you need to worry about. Darren Waller, the baller.
Right.
Obviously, must grab in the draft if you can get your hands on him. No doubt TE1 for your team. And in my opinion, has the opportunity to finish as TE1 this year.
Sure does.
I think he could overtake Kelsey and Kittle with just some of the changes and happenings on both of their teams respectively. So, man, oh man, give me early hot take, as I've had a few already. Early hot take for Darren Waller to finish the fantasy season in 2021 as the number 1 overall tight end.
All right. I won't go that far. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think he's going to be top 3, no question about it. Like what you said, I can buy into it. I'll personally just, probably wait on him. I would love to have him, no question about it. But one of the, like I said, I think yesterday, I typically don't reach for tight ends. But as I mentioned yesterday, I'll say it again, there is a big old drop-off after the top 4 or 5 tight ends. So maybe you want to reach for him because he will put up some numbers, no question about it.
By about 20.5 points, that drop-off is. It's not good at all. So, yeah, if you can get your hands on him, get your hands on him. But you can definitely find some fillers here or there that are going to have some season-long value. Last but certainly not least, well, actually 2 more. The kickers. Now, in Las Vegas, they are bringing back Daniel Carlson. Nothing really major to write home about from a fantasy perspective last year. I suggest you just pass on him, let him fall. If you need to fill, I wouldn't even scoop him up. There's plenty of other guys you can find before you get a hold of Carlson. But then again, he might have a big year with, I don't see the Raiders getting in the end zone all too often, but I do see him getting into the 40 or in. So maybe he has a big year.
Yeah.
Maybe he does. So something worth thinking about there with Daniel Carlson. And then as far as that defense goes, let them bad boys fall to the waiver wire. Do not waste a red flag on them. I think they are going to finish 25th or worst in terms of fantasy points this year in the league. I don't think there's any even more you need to say about that.
I don't think so. Funny enough, I feel like they might have some playoff value. They play the Giants in Week 14 and the Texans in Week 16. So maybe they're a waiver wire. You don't have too much of a solidified defense for your playoff team, and you're plugging and playing week by week of defense. Maybe that's a playoff ad for you. I don't know. That's about all the value. Even then, I don't know. I might even not.
Maybe a streaming option.
Maybe in those couple of weeks. But other than that, I'll hard pass.
A capital MAYB.
Yeah.
On potential streaming option for the Raiders defense at the end of the year. There you go. There you have it. The entire Raiders fantasy value from yours truly and Mr. RMags in start, stash, or pass. Let's quickly change the colors. Head on over to Los Angeles for the Chargers start, stash, or pass. QB room, my friend. We have, obviously, Mr. Justin Herbert. And then I don't even believe that I mentioned his backup because I don't even think that it all too matters.
Mr. Chase Daniel.
My man, Mr. Chase Daniel. My fucking man. As far as Chase Daniel goes, obviously no fantasy value there. But I do believe Herbert has plenty of potential to finish in the top 10. I'm very interested to what people will think across the board.
Right.
Are people going to think that he's going to have some regression here? That was just rookie luck. He was really lucky on third downs. He was really lucky early in the games, whatever the case might be, whatever they want to cook up. Is that what it's going to be? And I hope so. I really hope so. I hope he falls to the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. I hope so, because I will scoop him up so fucking fast as my QB1, it will make your head spin. I love Justin Herbert to finish well within the top 10 QBs in fantasy this year. I don't even think that's in question at all. So in my mind, I got to pick him up. I got to put him in a spot. What are you thinking, dude?
Yeah, I'll be right there with you. He was number 9 quarterback last year, even after missing that first week. So I could see him finishing top 5. You have to remember, Austin Eckler, I think missed about 7 or so games. Throw him back in that lineup. Not only does it make their offense more dangerous, that improves Herbert's chance of passing touchdowns going through the freaking roof because true. Austin Eckler, he might have double-digit pass-catching touchdowns this year. So I am absolutely starting Justin Herbert. I think he could be top 5 fantasy quarterback this year. Certainly top 7, but I'm going to go ahead and say top 5.
All right. I am actually right there with you with Herbert. I would move away from the top 10 and move on into the top 5 for sure. I think we see that production from him.
Sweet.
Running back room, Justin Jackson and Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler obviously going to be the RB1 here in LA. I think you need to temper expectations just a little to start the season, okay? Just a little. Draft him as an RB2 because I think people are going to let him slide because they saw the injuries, they saw the stuff, they might have some question marks. Draft him as an RB2 and watch him become your RB1 by week 3, week 4.
Okay.
I think he starts the season as RB2, but has ridiculous RB1 upside. I just don't know that you get the RB1 production right off the bat. I don't know right off the especially against the Washington football team. You need that right off the bat in week 1. Make a statement in your league. I think you got to draft him as an RB2, but have the anticipation that he's going to be an RB1. Justin Jackson, not unworthy of a handcuff.
No.
When Eckler went out last year, he did pick up a sizable share of the workload and was very solid, did put up RB2 numbers in his own right. So I think he's worth a handcuff if you do get your hands on Eckler, or if somebody gets their hands on Eckler before him, maybe a potential steal. If you're way down there and he's falling and you got an extra bench spot, I would say definitely waste it. Not even waste it, really, on Justin Jackson.
Sure.
So that's my thoughts on the RB room. What do you think?
Yeah, with Justin Jackson, I'm right there with you. I am going to handcuff him if I have Austin Eckler. Might even consider picking him up in case anything happens to Austin Eckler, even if I don't have Austin Eckler. I think I'm a little higher on Eckler, but I might be biased because I've had him the last 2 years, actually. Having the injury issues last year kind of hurt me, but he did come back and
not
help me.
hurt you enough. Didn't hurt you enough.
But 2 years ago, that's why I'm saying I'm biased, because I had a lot. That was my best fantasy draft I've ever had in my life. And Austin Eckler, I picked him up in, I want to say, at least the 8th round.
It was ridiculous.
And I had an absolute fucking squad, and he was one of the reasons that got me over the edge.
El Nino.
Yeah, baby. But I will absolutely take him. I would take him as I don't hate what you said as far as week 1, tough defense in the Washington football team, but I'd be willing to take him pretty damn high. He had an average of 16.5 points per game in PPR, even when he, obviously that's subtracting the games that he missed. So I want to say he still finished like top 25 running back points, even without those 7 weeks.
Sure.
So I'll absolutely be taking him. Not sure if it'll be first round, second round, probably be right on the edge of there first, second round. But I am absolutely taking my man once again.
Sure. It might be just a little bit of a struggle for Eckler. I wanted to build on that just a little more. It might be a little bit of a struggle through the first 5 weeks. The Ravens rank 8th in defensive rush efficiency. Browns rank 18th, and the football team ranks 13th. But the boys, Chiefs, and Raiders 24th, 29th, and 31st, respectively. So he has a little bit of opportunity there, which why I'm telling you I think it's going to be that RB2 number. It's going to just kind of even out, and then week 8 on, turn the fuck up, Austin Eckler. It is nothing but green, 20 plus in defensive rush efficiency that he's facing. So I think out of their bye week at a week 7, week 8, absolute explosion from Austin Eckler.
Yeah, and what I was saying, I have to include the caveat that it was 100% with PPR implications involved.
Sure.
If you're not on PPR, you got to get on that train, first of all. Second of all,
what are you doing?
Austin Eckler is the poster child for huge splits as far as PPR and non-PPR. If it's not PPR, he's still worth the roster spot, but he's certainly nowhere near running back 1 or maybe even running back 2. I'm interested to see what those numbers look like because we've been playing PPR for a while, but 100% of what I was saying was with the caveat that it is PPR.
Absolutely. Wide receiver room obviously has loads and loads and loads of value. They don't play the hardest defensive pass efficiency schedule in the world by any means. Keenan Allen. Oh, I'm just so scared. I've taken him so many times, and he has the wide receiver 1 potential. You can never question that with Keenan Allen. He is a dog. He will always be a dog. He's one of the best receivers in the league. The problem is I don't think he's had the offense to make him as successful and keep him healthy as he needs to be. Enter Joe Lombardi. I think it's going to be perfect match. And Joe Lombardi, just to go quickly back to Austin Eckler, Joe Lombardi is going to make that man look absolutely beautiful. Joe Lombardi's run offense is absolutely electrifying. We saw it multiple times already with different teams. That being said, Mike Williams, I am going to stash him for the time being. If he's hanging around, I get a bench spot or something, I will temper my expectations solely to a very low flex floor with week-to-week potential with a touchdown here or there to get into the wide receiver 3 category. But he just hasn't shown me enough week-to-week to where I can put all my faith in him to solidify him in as my flex spot. Keenan Allen, back to him. I will make him my wide receiver 2. I'm just very concerned about health and maybe potentially some weeks Austin Eckler might have the most receptions on the field. So I'm going to temper expectations for him. I'm going to make him my wide receiver 2. I absolutely will draft Keenan Allen. No question in my mind, with the potential for wide receiver 1 production week to week. Maybe you get a 30, 40, 50 point game out of him and it absolutely blows your mind and everybody hates you in the league because of it. That's very viable. Outside of that, I pass on everybody else, and I would keep an eye on Jalen Guyton.
Okay.
I'd put a flag on him. Like I said earlier on in the show, he showed flashes last year when needed to, and I think that he definitely can once again. If you need a streaming option here or there, if one of these receivers gets hurt, he will be able to fill in plenty. Probably a wide receiver 3 ceiling, definitely a high flex floor. So that would be my opinions in general. Obviously, I'm the highest on Keenan Allen.
Sure. I can't add too much on you. I also think Keenan Allen, I think it's health-based. If he's held 100% healthy all 17 games, he's going to be in that top 10 receiver category. He was number 13 last year. I hesitate to say top 5, but I think he could be knocking on that door if he's 100% healthy. Mike Williams, I'm pretty similar on you. Once again, if he's healthy, he's just had some health issues, and it was him that's having a hamstring injury right now, right?
Yep.
So I'm a little skeptical in that category specifically. If he's 100% healthy, I would like him as a flex spot. Had a 10.8 average last year, so I kind of like that. Once again, not going to reach too high for him, but he might be a guy that I'm looking for. Love what you said about Guyton. I think whether it's him, I do think he would be the one. I think there's going to be a third receiver in this room, whether they have to fill in for injury or just regardless, it's going to have a lot of production here. I think Guyton would be that best bet, so I would also stash him as well.
Yeah, and I'm just not sure that I have enough faith in Tyron Johnson.
No.
I think, honestly, that Guyton will lap Johnson by week 1 here, in my opinion. So definitely worth a little red flag.
And then maybe Palmer in a dynasty, maybe down the road. Don't think it's going to be enough impact in year 1 here, though.
Yeah, definitely not, but maybe Josh Palmer for sure. I was able to look a little bit on it, and he did rip the absolute cover off the defenses in Tennessee. So definitely worth a dynasty look there too. So wide receiver room, tight end room for the Chargers. I talked about it earlier on in the show. I am not throwing any shade at Jared Cook. And as you just mentioned, partner, you get out of the top 3, top 5, there is a severe drop-off in production at the tight end position fantasy-wise. And I think that Jared Cook might be one of those gems this year. He's not going to get you double digits every week, but he's going to get you damn close. And in some weeks, he might even get you close to 20 because he gets 2 touchdowns. And I also said it, you think back to Hunter Henry. You think back to Antonio Gates. Year over year over year, regardless if they're in San Diego or if they're in L.A., the Chargers have always had a good tight end. They have always been able to utilize their tight end well. Now, will that be the same with Lombardi, with Staley? Is that all? I think so. I don't think we're going to have to worry about it, and I think that Jared Cook's going to be one of the diamond-in-the-rough tight ends for you to find. Definitely draft if he's still hanging around way late, and with the potential to win you a few games from week to week.
Yeah, I kind of echo what you're saying here. He was number 13 tight end last year. I think he could crack that top 10 for sure. He's going to be a consistent contributor here. If he is your weakest link on your team, you're doing something well. If he's one of your top 3, you're leaning on him to be one of your top 3 scorers, then you might have some troubles. But, if the tight end position is your weakest spot in your entire lineup, I would not hate to have Jared Cook. He's going to be consistent enough to keep you afloat and give you the points that you probably need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So do not buy into the hate on Jared Cook per both of us this year. I think he has a solid season in L.A. Excuse me. As far as the kickers go, not offhand can I tell you, but I can right now. Michael Badgley. How did I not know Michael Badgley? Or Badgley. It is Badgley. Michael Badgley obviously has always been solid. Has produced year in and year out. Has had a few times where he misses key field goals that might cost you a game. Honestly, if it's one of those tight 104 to 102 and you need him to make 3 field goals, he only makes 2. And it's just like, oh my gosh, and he misses that other one. So definitely worth a look. Badgley also might be trying to light a little bit of a fire under his ass, so might even be more of a reason to look. They did bring in Tristan Vizcaino as a little bit of competition for him, so something to potentially take note of there. Maybe Badgley has a huge season because he's had some competition here in the offseason. Yeah,
I'd definitely be interested to have him. I think this offense is just going to put him in position. And like you said, for whatever strange reason, I'm interested in whoever the kicker is basically what I'm trying to say. I think it's going to be Badgley. I would bet a lot on him being the guy, but for whatever reason, if he's struggling or has some injuries, I would take whoever it is.
Sure enough. Last but not least, the defensive unit. I am a little nervous about this unit. I think they have potential to finish top 15, maybe even better, but they're going to have to do a lot to do so. And I don't know if they have the firepower in the secondary or enough in the front 7 to help some of the big names really produce like they need to in order to get those numbers. If they are one of the only teams hanging around that is that mediocre, I would put them at the top tier of some of those mediocre defenses, especially with Brandon Staley at the helm now and Ronaldo Hill being a proven name as well. But I would pass on them overall. I'm sure you could find a better defense. But again, if they're one of the mediocre defenses hanging around, I would put them at the top tier of that and definitely worth your roster spot. Not going to win you a whole bunch of games, but will definitely keep you in float. No question about it.
Yeah, I'm interested to keep a watch on these guys. I'm a little lower than I am on, just their actual team breakdown as far as a fantasy perspective, because I do think they're going to keep this offense in games. But as far as a fantasy perspective, I think there's going to be a handful of shootouts, and there might be a handful of negative point weeks here, especially you look at week 2 against the Cowboys, a couple of games against the Chiefs. Those games against the Raiders are going to be high scoring, so might be a few weeks where you can target them, but overall, I will just keep a nice little watch on them.
Woo!
Hey, man, we did pretty damn solid for the time there, I would say.
Holy cow. 11:47. We only went 17 minutes longer than the typical standard show, and we covered 2 full teams today. So before we wrap up the full show, we got to send these 2 aforementioned teams, the teams we've been covering today, on their way, the only way we know how. So first things first. 2, John Gruden, Greg Olson, and Gus Bradley. Good luck to your season. We wish you nothing but the best, and we hope you have a lot of success. Godspeed.
Fingers crossed for you.
Fingers crossed for you. But over to the Chargers, to Brandon Staley, new coach Joe Lombardi, and new defensive coordinator Ronaldo Hill.
Correct.
Good luck. We wish you the best. We hope you have an equally stupendous season. And as always, Godspeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that does it officially. Episode 106 of the Talking the Line podcast, the 17th official NFL special edition, now 22 days away from the start of the NFL regular season, 7:20 p.m. Central Standard Time. It goes down on Thursday night, September the 9th. Bucks, Cowboys, no question about it. Be there or be square. We are going to be there all the way leading up to kickoff. You best believe it. Now, before we put a cherry on top of the show, a little bit of whipped cream, if you could be so kind, partner. Anything burning on the brain, melting on the heart, festering on the soul. You have been dying to get out to the kind folks that joined us on episode number 106 of the TTL Pod on this beautiful August 19th, 2021.
All right, how about a little recap between these 2 teams' history? The Raiders lead this series. They've been, I don't know how long, I guess I should have looked harder into that. I imagine they've been in the same division. Obviously, they have been in our lifetime.
Sure.
I think they probably have been for quite a long time. Raiders lead this series 66-55 with 2 ties. Nice little edge for the Raiders in the series. Obviously, there was some very nice eras there for the Raiders in the 70s and 80s. Chargers had, a couple times there as well, but as far as points scored, Raiders 27-05 to Chargers 26-79. So if the Chargers win both those 2 games, they might close that gap on that one and get on their way of closing the series gap. But amongst that 66-55-2, only 1 playoff game, surprisingly enough. Back in 1981, the AFC Championship game, the Raiders won that one and went on to win Super Bowl 15 for the black and silver. Can't think of who was coach at the time. I should probably know that one, but the Raiders got the edge in this one, and I could see the Chargers closing that gap with Justin Herbert at the helm here in this next decade, my friend. How about you?
John Madden.
Was it in that one?
John Madden, yeah.
Well, I knew he was their old coach. I just didn't know if that one specifically.
He was the one who got the Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that one.
Well, they won multiple Super Bowls.
Well, yeah, but I think it was that one. Because I actually, why I think it was that one, I just watched Al Davis versus the NFL the other night, and that was like where the Raiders lost it was like the Steelers game, the Immaculate Reception, and then there was another down year, and then in 81.
Tom Flores.
It was Flores, so it would have been 78, would have been Madden then. I got one of those years mixed up somewhere. I don't know. Either way, thank you, partner, because, hey, we covered both teams today, and they play each other an awful lot, so we all got to know how they do against each other.
Yep.
Also,
John Madden was the 70s. Sorry to cut you off.
He was the 70s, so there you go. So it was 78. I was on, I was close, but obviously wasn't around. I wasn't even a twinkle in my daddy's eye at that point in time. But that all being said, I do have a sidebar as well myself. That was kind of it. Watched Al Davis versus the NFL the other night. I know it's been out 30 for 30 for a while, but I just never clicked it on.
No, Yeah.
They used some CGI, some different stuff in there that was absolutely fucking killer, man.
Yeah.
Like I got I flipped it on just to flip something on, and I was scrolling through Twitter, putting some content, doing some different stuff.
Brought you back in?
And it sucked me in, and I was like, whoa, what are they doing here? Like, this is pretty damn good. This is actually really damn good. And, I mean, you know me. I mean, if you don't know, I wear the black sheep on my forehead. I'm a little bit of a rebel. I'm a little bit of I'm a little bit off the cuff. I'm a little bit different. If you didn't know, and I kind of resonate with Al Davis.
Okay.
I like that bad boy, fuck 'em, just win, baby mentality. I liked it a lot. It was really good. I think it's definitely worth a look.
Well, having brought a couple things together, if Al Davis was still around, John Gruden might not still be around, my friends. Raiders have a history of letting some coaches go after their first 2-3 years, or if not sooner, if they ain't having the success. Like I said, though, I still think John Gruden's a damn good coach. I think the talent acquisition has been piss poor, to say to put it generously.
Well, Gruden did great in his first trip around, his first tenure with the Raiders. He
kind of tailed off.
He had a winning record, but tailed off a little bit at the end, but not anything terrible at all. And now he's just had nothing but a losing record. So it's just like, man, oh man, where are we missing? And I think that might be it. Just talent development and then talent acquisition.
Right.
Not very good for Las Vegas so far. So we'll see what happens in 2021. We obviously don't have the highest hopes for them, but huge hopes for the Chargers. So there you go. Thank you for your sidebar, partner. Got me into another sidebar there. So there you go. There you have it. Before I put the proverbial cherry on top of this podcast with my motivation minutes, a couple things to remind you about. If you weren't here for the beginning of the show, make sure you visit the link tree in this episode's description. You'll see the Talking the Line website there up at the top. Also, all of our social platforms across the board and additional content so you can consume it all whenever, however, whoever, whichever you please. Everything in between. We are still cashing tickets. I had a break-even 7-7 day. My last 3 bets of the night, it looks like I was going to go 10-4, and my last 3 bets of the night just absolutely busted. Bad beats. So 7-7, nothing crazy. I am like 35-21 for the week, I do believe. Hey-o. So nothing bad at all. Hey-o for sure. Yeah. You went positive yesterday.
2-2, but all dogs. So I went to about a half unit positive, I think.
Hey, so not bad at all. Still positive money. We're still cashing tickets. Obviously, if you've played MLB in any type of capacity, 55% or better is absolutely electrifying. You're most of the time you're good to go about 50%. So we're still cashing tickets. If you guys need some MLB plays, you want to throw together a parlay, or you just need some straight plays, we don't recommend doing the parlays. We recommend straight plays off of our bets. Stick to your units. Check us out on the Action app. You can get me at cash_with_Colt. Riley is at RMags in all caps. Once we get back to business as usual, regular pick show, daily sports gambling show, get out of the NFL editions. You can find all of those best bets at Talking the Line on the Action app. Then we're also working with another app right now. We'll be able to tell you guys about that very shortly. They made some new improvements I was seeing this morning as I was taking it for my usual daily test drive. Just been trying it out, checking it out, seeing what it's all about, and I think it's going to be very valuable, not only for you guys to check out our plays, but also for us to be able to connect with you and vice versa.
Right.
There is that, and then also you can get all of our best bets and actually bet them directly from our website, talkingtheline.com. Click the Today's Best Bets tab or the Live Lines and Odds. We also have Live Lines and Odds, and it'll show all your favorite sports books there, so you can bet however, whenever you want. We make it super easy for you, and then if you like our plays, it's in an additional tab there as well. So you'll see all of that. And then loads of additional content, blogs, other featured content, all types of stuff all over our website. So make sure you guys check that out. Not just a little one-page flicker through. That's about 7, 8, 9, 10 pages. I'm not sure how many it is, but we got all types of shit going on over there. Make sure you check out the website. We are hot and heavy. One final reminder, in the process of working on our next new show, we actually received back the intro today.
Oh, baby.
First things first, huge shout out to my man Seabass at Sebastian Luck Music, Luc Music. You can find him on Twitter. You can also find his brother. They are two of the most electric young individual Peruvian gentlemen that I know, and they're my young guns. They're a couple years younger than us, but they have a grind. They got a couple of mentalities on those young men, and they make absolutely killer music. Whether you like trap, whether you like house music, whether you like dubstep, whatever you like, those guys have something for you. And anytime I need a little intro, I say, hey, C-Bash, you got anything in the folder I can rock with? Sends me about 5 different options. I see what I like, send it on over to him. He masters it absolutely perfectly. Once again, thank you so much, Seabass. You are the fucking shit. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Probably going to clip this up just so you can see this on Twitter too, because you're not a big sports gambler, so you don't tend to tune into the show that often, but I got to give you credit where it's due. You absolutely murdered the intro for... You thought I was going to slip and tell you the name of the show, but I'm not. You wish. You're still just going to have to wait and find out. Still shooting for beginning of September. Not sure if it's going to be the first week or the second week. As usual, got a lot of stuff to learn, a lot of stuff to research. Didn't go to school for technology or podcasting. So just got to research, got to learn. I think I should be able to get it done within the next week and a couple of days here, so no worries. But we'll let you know for sure, drop date, and when you should anticipate to see the first episode of the... Got you again. It is coming though, folks. Just want to tell you that we cannot wait to bring you guys this. We can't wait to do it ourselves. I mean, just from a sheer fan perspective on our end.
Right.
Maybe that's another hint for you too.
Right.
There you go. That's all I'm going to say. That does it. All the updates, everything you guys need to know about. Let me get you guys on out of here. But before I do, I got to share a little inspiration and motivation with you guys quickly in my motivation minutes. Now, this one's going to be short today. I've told you guys from time to time, I have G4 classification to talk about some of these things that I do because I've lived it, I've been through it, but I do not claim to be any type of swami, any type of genius or shaman when it comes to how to live life. I just have found keys here and there that have lined up with a lot of people who are much smarter than me and know how to tackle life much better than I do. Some of my thoughts lined up with them, so I figured I'd just share them with you guys, so maybe we can all handle this thing called life a little bit easier. Well, that all being said, I still got to search for things from time to time. I still got to put on my mental and spiritual armor. I tell you guys about that all the time. I still have to work at this. I'm not perfect. I still have to work to keep my mind in check, to be able to stay at peace in the world that we constantly live in. It's not easy. I know it. So I work at it too. I'm right there with you guys. And I actually stumbled upon something last night, just flicking through some pages, nothing all too major. And I thought, well, hell, that's pretty doggone fitting for tomorrow. Because I've talked a lot about adversity this week, and over the course of the past few weeks, actually, just kind of battling adversity, ways to get through it, different type of things. And these all kind of circled around my individual messages. I don't know if it's been exactly 8 days, but it was kind of interesting. And I'd found it, and it kind of hit me, and I just wanted to share it with you guys, give you something different to think about, and just let you go on about your way. So this is entitled 8 Things to Remember When You're Going Through Tough Times. How about that? Number 1, everything can and will change. Number 2, you've overcome many challenges before. Number 3, it's only a learning experience. Number 4, not getting what you want can be a blessing. Number 5, allow yourself to have some fun. Number 6, being kind to yourself is the best medicine. Number 7, other people's negativity isn't yours to worry about. Number 8, and there is always, always, always something to be thankful for. Now, I think those are all so powerful that they bear mentioning one more time, and I will do so. But I mean, think about it. Everything I've been talking about. Not getting what you want can be a blessing. I talked about it. Just be happy where you're at. Just be with what you got, what you have. Just be grateful for today. There's always, always, always something to be thankful for. Not even 2 days ago I was telling you guys to be grateful. They all just really lined up, and how it all just kind of came together. I got to share it with these guys. So one more time, let me give it to you. I mean, they're really self-explanatory, but they really do mean a lot, and I hope that these 8 things you can hold on to the next time you face a little bit of adversity. Number 1, everything can and will change. Number 2, you've overcome many challenges before. Number 3, it's only a learning experience. Number 4, not getting what you want can be a blessing. Number 5, just allow yourself to have some fun. Number 6, being kind to yourself is the best medicine. Number 7, other people's negativity isn't yours to worry about. And number 8, there is always, always, always something to be thankful for. Not much else from me today, my friends. Come to you with a full heart. Another opportunity to bring these messages to you guys. And as I get a little choked up thinking this, I'm just beyond grateful because we battle tough times all the time, not only with TTL Sports Media, but myself personally. And we hit walls and we can't deny it, but it's so important to remember these things, guys, because there's always tomorrow. There's always a new opportunity. You're going to learn something from this adversity, and you're going to become a better version of yourself. And if you can't remember any of this, just remember to be thankful. And that does it for my motivation minutes of the day.
Can't add too much, my man. Each one of them has its own, friggin' meaning. So I don't even know where I would even start. So I love every bit of it. And it ties in so much of what you talk about every single day. So solid stuff.
Thank you, sir. I thought it was something that needed shared. And obviously, if it got me choked up, I hope it did it the same to you guys, too. So there you go, my motivation minutes for the day. All right, my friends. That officially does it. 3 minutes past noon. We got some work to do. It's going to be a late afternoon for me and your boy over there. Outside of that, nothing else I got to mention. Anything I missed, partner? Any late breaking news? Anything we didn't get to here?
No, sir.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, degenerates, gamblers, Raiders fans, Chargers fans, fans of the NFL Shield, NFL bettors, fantasy football players. If I left anybody out, fuck, I'm sorry. I appreciate you too. Far and wide from myself and Mags. Thank you so much for stopping by the Talking the Line podcast today, the 17th NFL Special Edition, 22 days before the start of the NFL season. Oh my gosh, we might have breaking news.
Minor news, Kenyon Drake is apparently back at practice, and he's all right.
Kenyon Drake is good to go. So everything I've told you about through the course of the show, Kenyon Drake is back, ready to rock and roll. Still might pass on him from a fantasy perspective for the time being.
Doesn't change anything about that.
Doesn't really change much about that, but maybe we see some improvements from Kenyon Drake this year. But again, all of you that I just mentioned, from myself and Mags, thank you so much for stopping by today's show. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you sharing your time with us and giving us your support and following. We promise to keep pumping out content and making it bigger and better each and every day for each and every one of you. Last but certainly not least, we hope you have a spectacular rest of your Thursday, unless you have any other plans. Make sure you check out our best bets of the day so you soon can say with us too, let's cash some tickets.